Hello, everybody. Welcome to Prophet Daniel Has Spoken Research Channel. How are you all doing? I'm here to do a debate review of what happened between GodLogic and Jake Brancatella. So feel free to join me in having this conversation with me here. What I'll do is quickly paste a link for you guys to join while I discourse the debate review here. Right. So it was a very interesting debate. So we will see how it went. So let me just quickly paste a link here for you guys to join. So the link is pinned in the chat. All right, you're most welcome to join me while I debate review this debate of GodLogic and Jake Brancatella. How did you guys feel the debate went? How did you guys feel the debate went? It's pretty intense, I should say. Okay, let me share this out here for you guys. So this is what it is. Okay, and why it doesn't show up? Okay, no problem. So a total of 1,773, if I correctly remember that number, people voted after the debate. Marlon had a poll as to who won the debate. So a staggering 85% of the viewers voted for GodLogic's win. And obviously the 14% must have been the Muslim audience who are traditional Muslims watching the debate may have voted for Jake. Okay, so that's the thing. And why, I mean, these ballots or this voting poll or whatever you call it, this has a huge bias percentage to it. Like out of the 85% who voted for GodLogic to win, you could easily argue 70% would not shake. So, because the most of the majority of the audience or viewership on Marlon's channel are Christian, so you can say 70% of that 85% would just be GodLogic win, even if the debate was close. I don't believe this debate was close enough. GodLogic had a clear victory to close the debate, to finish the debate. Even suppose say if the debate was close, like it was with Jake and David Wood, I think on this particular channel, Marlon's channel, I believe 70% would anyway be in favor of GodLogic or David Wood, even if that debate were to be on Marlon's channel. That's what I'm sort of assessing. I could be wrong. Don't hold me responsible for every word I'm speaking. I'm just giving you a rough estimate here, my ideas of how the audience is behaving, okay, or interacting. Okay, that being said, that being said, I mean, obviously the Muslim audience, the traditional Muslims who are voting for Jake, they are also 100% biased over there, right? People watching him, not 100%, 99% of the people voted for Jake of the Muslims. I suppose hardly Muslims, including me, voted for GodLogic in that poll. So 95%, let me say, 95% of the Muslims might have voted for Jake's win, and that's entirely biased ballot. All right, that's a biased ballot. So the bias is definitely high amongst both the peoples, the traditional Muslims and the traditional Christians. The bias is high. They run high on bias. Okay. That being said, so what really happened in the debate? Okay, what really happens in the debate is this debate is happening just a week after Jake and David Wood debated, and I gave the win to Jake because David yielded on the generalization criteria, that it's just a general confirmation. And Jake pitched in with his dietary laws. He had a discussion. So David yielded. David said even the gospel sort of provides a general confirmation of the Old Testament, of the law of the Moses. So therefore, he yielded his position right there, and I granted Jake a win. Okay, so that's what happened there. Um, in this particular debate, however, where do I start? So in this particular debate, God Logic, he played a, you know, the marlin fish. Have you seen the fish? It's very interesting fish, very attractive fish, very speedy. So he played a marlin fish cruising in the ocean. So, I mean, I just watched his debate overview with IP right now, just a few initial bits, and he said he couldn't sleep the other night waiting for the debate to drop. So you can imagine he was fully prepped coming into this debate, having studied Jake's opinion, um, or Jake's position that Jake had with David Wood. Having studied that, he was just waiting to catch up with him. And Jake, unfortunately, kept the same exact pulse he had with David Wood. You don't do that in debates. You don't do that in debates. If the fish is not biting your bait, you have to flip or change the lure or change the bait. You got to do that. You cannot insist that the fish, such as marlin, the speedy fish in the ocean, must bite on your stale um, hook. It's not going to bite. It's not going to bite. So it was Jake's responsibility to change the bait. And God Logic jumped in, established his strong position on what an Islamic dilemma is and what it isn't. And that's when I think there was the opportunity for Jake to flip cards that he had prepared for David Wood. David Wood lasted, yielded his position. That's fine. But Jake could not come into this debate with the same exact thing, that the student will follow his teacher. No, they are improvising every day. They are um, developing. They are emerging. They are wrapping their heads around it, not ready to yield this dilemma that they have created. Okay, the one thing, even God Logic says, if it was not for Islamic dilemma, he would be a Muslim. That's what he said, right? So they're not going to let it go that easily, guys. So Jake had all the prep. All he needed to do is change the strategy. And of course, he did not. Why do you reckon he did not? Because he's stacked up, he is saturated in his position. And that position stems from the tradition, the Islamic tradition. And that's why Islamic tradition is detrimental. It's dangerous to hold on to Islamic tradition. Tradition is not going to save you. It's not going to save your day. What can, however, save your day is the Quran. If you hold the position of the Quran, which apparently every did, God Logic did. So he was on the side of Allah. You remember he was talking, whose side are you on? Whether Allah's side or Ibn Abbas' side. So he played it smart, and I should give him the credits. He played it smart. Jake was foolish not to amend or reform or develop his argumentation. He just held on to authority, which I believe God Logic yielded. Like he gave it to him. He's like, okay, you can have the jizya, but it's not going to take away the Islamic dilemma, because his argumentation revolved around 1094, 285, 279. It revolved around there, and also he brought in a new verse to back it up, 381. So these are the verses that Jake should have really dissected And apparently, he's not able to dissect them because of the tradition. The traditional Muslims, they are jacking up against um, a hard wall. They are not able to hammer. So they are unable to hammer this ground, this wall, with their tradition, with their scholarship that they have with them. So it's very unfortunate that these guys are not looking beyond their traditional schools of thought, and that's what happened, guys. So Jake became pulverized. I mean, GodLogic pulverizes him again and again, repeatedly, and all the Jake. I mean, the way that Jake was traveling in this debate is on a tangent, and he had the right to do that when the interlocutor was biting his baits or his lures, right? Such as David Wood did. He took a bite of his bait and he got hooked. David got hooked, and Jake was fine as long as David hooked. David was biting his lures. Jake was fine. So Jake could really, hook him, play around with him, and got a fish off him. Right at the end of the day, when David yielded, but Logic had studied the debate a week ahead, so Logic was not going to bite it, and Jake should have realized it in the opening because God Logic made it very clear right in the opening. He said what Islamic dilemma isn't. So Jake should have realized he's not going to bite that bait or lure. So he has to change it to be able to fish the speedy fish in the ocean, marlin. And just like marlin, God Logic was even stylish. I kind of liked his persona, his presentation, his actions, or the drama, the theatrics he played. Although I don't fully agree. Although I agree with him significantly, that's my position too. On the caveat that he spoke about that God provides for the Jews and the Christians. That's my position. That has been my position all the time. If you go back to my videos that I've done in the past, you will know that quickly, right? So that is the Quran's position, guys. And I don't know why the cultural Muslims, I should say, who are read of the tradition and their scholarships, they don't seem to understand this because they're stuck in some Salafi mindset. Um, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that they don't see these things. Even when I did a review of Jake Brancatella and David Wood in the last week, I did bring in these points. If Jake had seen my debate review, he would have understood that. But apparently, I'm too small for him to take a look at my review, I suppose. But nonetheless, this debate should give him some insights as to where his position is weak. He should. I mean, it's you can't have anything better now going on for you guys to change your position about how you approach this subject of Islamic dilemma. Both Jake and his types of um, Dawa boys, right? His school of Dawa boys. I mean, they come from Salafi school of thought. You will not win against the Islamic dilemma if you hold on to these positions. You will not. You will not. That's just my because I saw that all. I saw it from Jake. Um, he managed to take a win because David yielded, and Avery was not in the same exact position to yield. Avery is smart. Avery is smarter than IP, I should say, as far as Islamic reading goes, because Avery has invested hours into reading Islam, which IP hasn't. So Avery is smart from that side of the story, and David Wood is aging. That old donkey is aging, so he shouldn't have yielded to Jake like he did, but he did. And apparently, he's the one who came up with this Islamic dilemma. But you see, God Logic is young. He need not um, be spoon fed by his teachers. He advances. He improvises on the situations. So he goes back and studies. He sharpens. So that's what he does. And mostly he holds on to the Quran, and that's a tightrope on you guys. And you guys waffle around trying to find a way out, because the Quran's dominant position is that it confirms the Old Testament, not the Old Testament, it confirms the revelation given to the previous prophets, right? So it confirms. So you will have difficulty navigating away, and while God logic presses you on it, and you don't know a way out, you're stuck. And Jake has somehow thought to himself that this jizya um, dilemma, so he calls jizya collector or whatever it is going to rescue him or going to give him a win. It's not. First of all, he's quoting that out of context. Jizya is not the way that how he understands it. Okay, and if he had watched my previous debate review, he would have understood that. But unfortunately for him, it might take more time. I don't know. It's up to him. But clearly, he did not. He went on a tangent, and David Godlogic kept inviting him to engage in the debate. Okay, and as far as preservation goes, David, sorry, Jake could have shown the evidence. So Godlogic would yield on the preservation side of the story, but Jake does not do that. Jake just asserts and insists, but he doesn't show evidence. So if you don't show evidence, how do you think Avery is going to yield? It's not going to yield. All right. So, and the authority, and guess what? On the authority, GodLogic sort of confirms his position, just like David Wood did. So GodLogic granted him right at the beginning. He said the Bible is not authoritative over the Muslims, and he can grant Jake that the Quran is authoritative over over the non-Muslims, the Jews and the Christians, but they are okay to pay the jizya. So the dilemma doesn't disappear. The dilemma stands because the Quran confirms and yet contradicts the earlier scriptures. So that's the dilemma. So Jake was not impressive. I wish Jake had taken a look at of my debate review that I had on him and David Wood and taken a thing or two, but apparently they're high on their scholarship, their Salafi scholarship, and it's failing them. It's failing them, and that's what it is. And I can't give this win to Jake Brancatella anyway. I mean, it's out of the question. So GodLogic takes the win, even though he's technically wrong from the point of view that what the Quran has to say and his interpretation of the Quran is technically wrong. But apparently, Jake sort of thinks that interpretation is correct, and therefore he defends that from a different perspective, which doesn't work. Oh, that's what it is, guys. So GodLogic definitely took the win away. That's how I would adjudicate this. I mean, if you guys want to join in and chime in and with your opinions, you're most welcome to do so. Come on board and let me know what you think. So the link is pinned in the chat here. So come on board and let me know what your thoughts were, and yeah, we can chat about it. All right. Let me just play this of what how these guys were talking about it. All right.
We just saw probably one of the greatest debates on the Islamic dilemma ever. It finally dropped. How do you feel, man?
It's crazy for you to say that. That's huge. And man, it's I just couldn't wait. I was having a hard time sleeping waiting for the debate to be dropped. I could not wait for y'all's reactions, for y'all to see what happened to this dude. So yeah, I was so excited, bro.
Yep. So for those who don't know, if you're living under a rock, Avery just debated Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, on the Islamic dilemma. He actually debated Saturday. We've been waiting for this thing to Friday even.
Friday, yeah.
We were waiting for this to drop. It finally dropped last night. And I have been hearing stories of how you just cooked him, and boy, that did not disappoint. He did. I still am convinced that he does not get the Islamic dilemma. He doesn't get it. Even after your debate with him, his debate with David Wood, he doesn't get it, man. I just, it's not that hard. It's a pretty simple dilemma.
It's possible it's something else. It's possible that he does get the dilemma and is avoiding it at all costs. Man, it's possible that he understands it, because Jake is not a dumb guy. He's not.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So there you go. Why do you even, you know that they're not getting it, and you know their responses. You kind of predict their moves because you know they are seeped or neck deep into tradition, and you want to have some wins, and some shows. So why don't you just come and debate me? Every honest Muslim should start asking questions. Jake cooked badly. Not honest Muslim, traditional Muslim should start asking questions. Cultural Muslims who follow Salafi school of thought and who follow the traditional scholars, they should ask questions, not an honest Muslim. An honest Muslim is not into tradition. An honest Muslim stands with God, with the Quran. So they understand. An honest Muslim has a very good idea of the fake Islamic dilemma. It doesn't work with an honest Muslim, to be honest with you. And therefore, the Christians avoid speaking with an honest Muslim who is with the Quran. They want to speak and put out a show with the traditional Muslims because they know they can defeat their position. That's as simple as that. So they're working with the bias of a traditional Muslim, and traditional Muslim bias is so rock solid that's it's nearly defeat of a defeat is still not enough to teach them a lesson. It's just like how Trinitarians insist on Trinity, the position of Trinity. Defeat after defeat, they will still not give up the position. So the same thing happens with the traditional Muslims. Their tradition is like rock hard. It's difficult to break, and it's just the same way for Trinitarian Christians. You can't show them Trinity is fallacious, no matter what. How many debates they lose, they will insist Trinity as a legit position. So that's how bias works. So it's not about an honest Muslim. An honest Muslim is not convinced with what Jake said or how Jake thinks about it. Okay. But I don't know why these Christians like IP and GodLogic, they don't want to debate me. I don't know why. I asked James Modern Day Debates to have Islamic dilemma with GodLogic, but he refused. GodLogic refuses to debate Islamic dilemma with me. I don't know why. Don't know why. So the Hub 24 S6P. Are you still here? You want to jump in and have a chat with me? So, I mean, the guy's celebrating. Good on them. It's an occasion for them to celebrate. So,
I think you're probably. Oh, I think you're right, probably, Avery, because like he's. It seems like he's focusing in on this authority aspect specifically, and then maybe like what his hope is to try to get rid of that part of the dilemma and then move on to other parts of it.
Oh,
is that what you think he's trying to do? Or
I don't think that he can move on to any parts of it. Even if he's successful with eliminating some authority aspect, there he that's all he'll do. He'll stay there. But I think he understands the dilemma and knows that if he actually addresses the dilemma, he'll fail. He has to do this. So
yeah. So let's get into.
Okay. So I believe Jake may have an understanding of Islamic dilemma for sure. I mean, it'll be ludicrous to think otherwise. But Jake may be thinking, because the tradition is true for Jake, right? He was talking about Sunnah right there. Right? God gave Prophet Muhammad two things, the book and the Sunnah. So he's neck deep into this tradition. So based off that, defending the tradition becomes important for him, not defending Islamic dilemma and not defending against Islamic dilemma. For what is important to Jake is defending the position of Sunnah. That's important for him. And that's the downside. So as long as you're defending your tradition, you're not engaging with the Islamic dilemma. It's just not the case. But you are given to think Islamic dilemma is not a thing because you have an argument right now, which is the Bible has contradictions, the gospel has contradictions, and it's only giving a generalized statement, a generalized confirmation. So the Quran is also providing a generalized confirmation, and on the authority you lost the debate because you're giving me jizya. So that position Jake thinks is a winning position for him. Apparently it's not, because God logic is not biting on that bait. You know what I mean? David would take a bite, but I granted him a win. I granted Jake a win, but God logic did not bite it. So I can't give you a win. I'm sorry to say this, right?
That. Yeah, because real simple. The Islamic dilemma is it's there's two horns of dilemma. Either the Bible's been corrupted or it hasn't been corrupted. The Bible has been corrupted, Islam is false. If the Bible hasn't been corrupted, Islam is false. Why? Because the Quran over and over again confirms our scriptures, It tells us to judge by them, to use them, to observe them. It says, if you're even in doubt about the Quran, to go ask the people of the book who've been reading the scriptures before you, over and over again. So if the Quran is confirming our scriptures clearly contradict in theology, in history, so then we can use them to judge that Islam is false. But if our scriptures have been corrupted, then Islam is false because Allah is confirming corrupted scriptures. That's it in a nutshell. And you had a debate with him for 2 hours.
Yes.
David Wood had a debate with him for about the same amount of time. He still is not representing it properly.
Nope. On purpose. I'm convinced it's on purpose at this point, IP.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around what he thinks. Explain to me, what does he think it is in comparison to what I just said?
Well, if we're saying that he's being genuine, he thinks that the Islamic dilemma is the argument that the previous scriptures are a complete, full legal authority, legally binding on everyone, even including the Muslims. That's what he thinks it is.
But we don't say that.
We don't say that.
Okay.
We don't say that.
How do you have the patience to go through a debate like that and just constantly be like, that's not the dilemma. You're not even addressing it. Like,
I think it helps when the crowd is laughing at him. When the crowd is laughing and understands he's strawmanning the entire time. It's just we're having fun at this point. I'm not even offended. We're having a good time at this point, you know. So yeah.
Oh yeah, we got to review some of this debate because if you've not,
yeah, that's exactly what happens. You see, Jake did not bite it. Jake did not realize this fish wasn't really biting his bait. He didn't realize that. He was insisting that his dhimmi dilemma position argument is going to give him a win, just like it did with David Wood. But apparently, GodLogic did not have the same sort of defense as David Wood. So therefore, Jake had a poor show.
not seen the debate, we're going to show you some of the highlights. It's amazing. I'll do some super chats quickly. Momo is the most perfect example of how to conduct yourself. That must be why Jake keeps talking about how he loves to
Yeah.
Elder Gen Z. I'm going to move on.
You guys are crazy.
Stop branding the standard Islamic narrative. Sin, Quran, is a 6th century Christian hymn book. Muhammad was an Obsidian Trinitarian and anti-tritheist bishop under King Abraha. I don't know if I'm convinced of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Quran is a good rough estimate of what Muhammad was preaching. That's why the Islamic dilemma exists. Sorry, I don't think Muslims later on would make up the Quran and not include a place where it says our scriptures have been corrupted. I think this makes far more sense with an illiterate guy claiming to be a prophet who's just getting all the scriptures wrong. I never saw a chef cooking in costume.
That's funny.
All right, this bit is funny. I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna probably have the other main thing shared here, the actual debate shared here. So if you wanna play some clips here and see what's going on, if you want to engage here, we can chat about it. So let me know, guys. What do you want to do here? Let me know what you want to do here. Okay. Are there any elements that you want me to talk and expand more? Let me know in the chat. So you can't actually fight the position of the Quran from the Islamic tradition, because Islamic tradition is just not good enough to explain the Quran fully. It's not good enough. It's not at all good enough to explain the Quran fully. Islamic tradition is inadequate. You often contradicts the Quranic positions. So it's not the go-to tool to be using to establish a narrative and defend an allegation or an accusation on the Quran. The Quran itself says, fight with me. Like it says, وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. It says, use the Quran to propagate the Quran. It doesn't say use your scholars or your knowledge coming from elsewhere to propagate the Quran. It doesn't say that. It does not ever say that. It says use the Quran to propagate the Quran. That's what the Quran says. So why are these people, such as Jake, are doing the exact opposite thing? They're using sources outside of the Quran to limit the Quran, and they're not able to score a win. How can you score a win if you're trying to limit the Quran? You will not score a win. It's as clear as noonday light. It's as clear as that. In a nutshell, Avery had a strong opening, a stronger refutation, and a decent cross exam. Okay, although he concluded, I'm done with it, and that was a bit of a drama, I should say. He should have clarified the position, sat there and clarified the position, and established that Jake's position was incoherent in much more explanatory terms, rather than playing theatrics and walking away and yielding time. I think that was a bit too much for him to do that, and often he's used in his character. He's used to doing these theatrics, so he couldn't help himself do that. But that's fine. Even the closings, I think he did a decent job. GodLogic did a decent job even in closings. So overall, it's a win for GodLogic, and unfortunately, Jake should by now realize that his argumentation is unhelpful. So it's not going to help him do anything at all with it to defend against the Islamic dilemma. Okay, that being said, I'm waiting to debate these guys. But how will they debate me if my subscriptions are so low? They will not engage with me. So if you guys want to see this Islamic dilemma be put to where it belongs, to be to one of the bins in David's house, all right, you got to sub my channel. That's the only way. You got to sub my channel and go to these guys and request them to debate me, to engage with me on Islamic dilemma. If you guys can do that, then obviously you'll get to see the debate between me and them. And are you afraid of losing? Me losing? I mean, all of you guys are losing at the moment. So one more loss, put it in your bag, and then show me out, throw me out, chuck me out if I lose. But if I don't lose, that's a victory to you guys, right? And that's a defeat that should really come to the house of fake preachers of Christianity. They know these things don't work. They know that internally, they know that, but they just want to prop it up to bother and to bother the devil boys. That's what they are trying to do. I'm 100% convinced that logic knows that the dilemma thing is a fallacious argument. Basically, he knows that. He has read enough to know that. Although he may have some apprehensions, like some reservations, but once um, someone gives clarification, he will have no other excuse left. Okay, that's just my opinion. All right, I could be wrong, but that's how I'm thinking about it. Okie dokie. What do I do now? Unless someone wants to join, I'll call it a day. And you know what I mean? So there's nobody here to join. Coming and you guys aren't even biting, yeah. I don't know why you guys don't bite on my list. I don't have any other list to change now. You know what I mean? Yeah, but who is this guy who throw a like there? Yeah, someone likes my challenge. Someone says he kind of likes me to debate David, these guys, IP and GodLogic. But come on board, guys. Come on board. Talk to me about these things. If you talk to me, the word will get out. Otherwise, I come here, do my streams, and I close them without much activity. People aren't interested to watch my channel. And my channel and YouTube does not work on my channel if people don't watch my channel. So if you want to see these debates, you have to come and engage with me and bring in the crowds. And once you show engagement, you watch my channel, then the crowds are also attracted to it. And then these people, IP and GodLogic, will have nowhere to run. I don't think at this point. I was thinking GodLogic was coward up until yesterday, but I've changed my opinion. on that side of the story. I don't think he belongs to the covered category. I think at the moment, I could be wrong. He could still genuinely be covered. That he's not facing me. Okay, but what he's trying to do with me is not give me a platform. That is what he's doing with me. He does not give. He does not wish to give me a platform. So he ends up catapulting me on at a bigger marketplace, right? So that's why he does not engage with me, because my Islam is a threat to their ministerial work. Because my Islam is not a traditional Islam, and my understanding of Islam is a liberating force. It's going to liberate a lot of Christians into embracing Islam. So GodLogic senses that, and therefore he does not want to give a platform to me, um, to do the business that I want to do. Not that he is entirely coward. I understood that from yesterday's presentation. He is not a coward per se, but he is canny. He is evaluating and assessing who he should give the platform to. So, but nonetheless, he falls in the same category as that of the Muslim Lantern. The Muslim Lantern also has the same mentality. I went on his channel and he does not want to share his platform with me, even though I'm a Muslim, right? So these guys who hold marketplace on YouTube, they don't want to lose their sheep to others. So they're very calculating and very assessing of whom they would talk and whom they would not talk. And that is a hypocritical behavior, because um, you are opening your shows, and when people like myself go, you're putting us on a wait list, and you're busy receiving and bringing up other people who come later on, and we are waiting there for hours together. And basically it's a signature that you wait and we don't want to talk to you. And in fact, GodLogic explicitly stated on his emails that he doesn't want to engage with me. And also on the video on Capturing Christianity, when he was with Sam and I went in and he just waved no to me, that he does not want to talk to me. It was very clear that he's not willing to talk to me. And not that he's a coward, it's just that he does not want to give me a platform. That's all it is. That's all there is to it. So who can change this? The crowds can change this. The crowds can storm on his channel and tell him to debate me, to engage with me. The crowd can do this. If the Muslim crowd wants to see a win on Islamic dilemma, you better do this. You better share this stream, invite your friends, although they might be chickening out when they look at my channel's name, Prophet Daniel, and they're losing their brains. The Muslims are losing their brains to see the name Prophet, and they go like, "Oh, he's claiming to be a prophet." Oh, no, it's not. I'm not. You got to be brave to see and read the whole name, the full name Prophet Daniel has spoken, and run your brains on it and figure out what it is. Not, it's not a claim that I'm making that I'm a prophet. It's stupid to think like that for you guys. So talk about these things to your people, to your friend circle, so they get educated about this. And they open their brains. When they open their brains, they gain. They only gain when they come to me. They will gain. There's no way out. They will not lose. They will gain. So what do you guys think? You don't want to come on board here? Hit the link in the chat and come and talk to me a word or two. Come and do it. Come and join me and have a chat with me, just briefly. Whatever might be interesting. And later on, when you want to chat me, it might not be possible, because when I'm getting famous, it's not easy to talk to you guys. So the time is right now. If you want to talk to me, now is the time. Come on board and talk to me, because once I become famous like these people, lots of people want to talk to you, and there's not going to be time left to talk to people, all the people in the world. So right now is the time. You're coming here and um, you are testing my bait. Don't test it. Just bite and come here on the channel. Let's have a chat. It's easy. It's easy. So, fellas, if you guys are not in the mood, I just can't be here forever. Uh, I'm gonna have to close the shop, and once I close the shop, then I'll begin doing other things. You know what I mean? So right now is the time to talk. Come on, talk to me. I can see the traffic slowly step in. Come up. You know, you guys are engaging, partly engaging. So why don't you just get involved and talk to me, guys? Just get involved. Um, come on board. Have a chat. Um, I will give you some insights on how this can be done. So why don't you join me now? Join me now, and we can do something. We can do whatever is needed. You know what I mean? So have a chat. Have a chat with me. Hit the link. I have to keep requesting you guys to do that. Come in, talk to me. Come in, talk to me, and do your business. Hit the like the stream, share the stream, engage with me. Why do you make me do this? Why do you guys make me do this? Mhm. Why do you guys make me do this? You can straight away come in, and we can start chatting about it. It's gonna be fun for other people who are watching. It's gonna be fun for them. So, mm, 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 mm. All right, who's here? Hello, Mike. Hey, how are you doing, Mike? Mike, you need to connect your audio. All right. Looks like you haven't connected your audio. It says there's no device. Um, you may have to do something with your audio. All right. Okay, you're in now. Can you talk? Oh, you dropped out. Okay. Okay, do something with your audio setting. Go to settings and go into audio and pull up Restream. So do that bit, and your audio is gonna come in. So fix your audio mic. I'll get you upstage here. I'm waiting for you, Mike. Don't worry. Take your time. It's a simple fix that you have to do. It's a very simple fix you have to do. Go into the settings on the browser. So go to audio and invoke the Restream audio, and you'll be fine. So I don't know how Jake Brancatella thinks about this debate. Probably he went back home thinking he had won in some way, but it was overwhelming for him. The results were overwhelming. I'm sure people are talking about it. I'm sure someone would have given him the feedback that it did not really go well for him. So there's all sorts of possibilities for him to reconsider his position and to learn a different position. Like, obviously, his traditional position is not helping him here. That's for sure. So I don't know what he will do, how he will react to it. But if he comes back and debates someone else on the same exact thing on Islamic dilemma, how do you think he's going to fare? Not well at all, because there's no point debating with him on Islamic dilemma if he's not willing to change his position of defense. So I don't know. Food for him to think. Something that he has to think. I can't help it. Um, something for him to think. But nonetheless, I've sent him an email. I've also sent an email to Orthodox Muslim, the Libiano guy. If they both respond, it's going to be good. So we can have a coalition forming, and exchanging resources and mounting up a um, you know impenetrable defense, like, and then it'll be fun for the Muslim people to watch that, and they will enjoy it. They will enjoy the unity. You know what I mean? People enjoy unity when people at the top come into unity, come together and work together. People will enjoy it at the bottom. So all that people at the top have to do is unite and let go of their egos and unite. But that's something not easy to come. I mean, at least you have to give a thumbs up that the Christians are somehow managing to do that. They're coming together as boys. Christian boys for Christian Dawa boys are coming together. But the Muslim Dawa boys, no, they still need to learn that, and I hope they will learn that. Okay, I hope they will learn it. So, I mean, it's going to be good if they learn it, but if they don't, you can't help them. You can't help them. So that's just the reality of things. So, guys, throw a like. Don't forget to throw a like. Share the stream. Sub if you have not subbed, and engage. Come on board. Hit the link. Come on board and let's have a chat on how it went with Jake Brancatella and GodLogic. GodLogic was in full Zoom. I think he had a nice sleep, catch up sleep, fabulous dreams, and he was in good mood with IP today. So he was in good mood. It's interesting times. I hope he summons up courage to debate me on Islamic dilemma, GodLogic. And it looks like if you destroy GodLogic on Islamic dilemma gets destroyed forever, because David Wood is not the best of the peoples um, to do Islamic dilemma any longer. I think he's done his part. He's played his contribution to prop up a fake premise. But GodLogic continues to hold it strong. He's heralding the flag, the propped up wood, quite to a next level, higher than David Wood. But yeah, I mean, who can debate GodLogic now? I'm here calling him day and night. Who else is calling him on the debate? I'm interested to know who else. And who else is going to present what argument, what new argument than what Daniel Hakiko Jew and uh, this guy Jake Brancatella have articulated? What else is your position, Muslim, cultural Muslims, traditional Muslims? What else do you think your leaders, what new position do you think they're going to bring in? You got to ask them that. All right, ask them that, and let me know what they think about it. If they have a new position into it. Their traditional position is just not a win for them. It's not a win for them. Okay, I think Mike has not been successful at coming back. And if that's the case, looks like you guys want me to close the stream because you're not engaging here. You're not even engaging me on the chat. If you at least engaged me on the chat, I would sit and read your chats and respond to those chats. But apparently, I think I should call it a day. I suppose. God no, two new people to subscribe, but they don't even want to engage. Two people subscribe and they don't want to engage. They could have engaged. And do go to my posts and cast your ballot there. I want to see who follow me, who are my followers. I want to see who are my followers. All right. So if you go to the posts, my post, I've got a post here. Who are my followers? And at the moment, Christians are my followers, so they are leading the poll. So and cast your ballot there. All right, cast your ballot there. Out of the hundreds of followers that I have, like 250 nearly, only 23 people have voted, man. It's not even like, it's barely 10% of the people have voted, you know what I mean? 10%. Such low turnarounds on YouTube. You've got these hundreds and hundreds of subscribers, but only 10% make contact with your channel. That's that's something to learn. So if you guys are here, make sure you go to the posts and cast your vote. Your votes are important. They give me an insight into the dynamics of my channel, so I can engage better with my audience. So don't forget to do that. Don't forget to do that. Okay. Okay. Mike is here again.
What's up, brother? How's it going?
Hey, good. Thank you, man. You managed to come back. That's good.
Yeah, I was having some difficulties getting around. First off, I want to say I appreciate you letting me on the stream. I've been watching your channel. I'm a Christian, and I definitely
Right.
enjoy watching you, man.
Hey, thank you so much, Mike. It means a lot. Yeah.
So I did have a couple questions. So
Sure.
as a Christian, and I can't speak for all Christians,
Yeah.
but a lot of times when you engage with Christians and you bring up passages about the Bible, and it gets a little frustrating because when we ask for evidence, you typically don't bring up any like historical facts. So I just kind of wanted to pick your brain and kind of basically get to the point of what stops you from um I guess gathering history and actually like going to historical facts as opposed to just going on kind of what you think about it or what you other than the Quran. Why not go to like the historical facts, or at least like for instance, like I watched yours and Williams debate, and I guess his point was
Oh, Mike just dropped out. Come back, brother. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Continue to say what you were saying. Oh, again, your audio is not coming in on this occasion. So maybe you got to do the same thing that you did previously and come back in. Come back, brother. I'm gonna be waiting here for you. Come back. So your audio is not coming in, Mike. If you're hearing me. So you were making very good point. I want to answer you that, but come and finish your question, and I'll take you out now. Come back with your audio, or if you want to do audio while you're in, that's also fine. So I don't know what's happening with him. Yeah, he's making good points. Mike is making good points. Like, why do I not bring in um, the historical references? Um, what is the hesitation? He's asking me, what is the hesitation to do that, right? So yeah, let him come in, and we'll have a chat. I like these good people, you know. Good people are always good people, man, because good people's heart is good, and what is inside of you comes out of your mouth, says Jesus, and you will be held accountable for what comes out of you. So it's important for people to be good, and I love chatting with good people, you know. And yeah, Mike is back.
All right, hello.
All right, yeah, go ahead, brother Mike.
Okay, I'm
Now
having
you're
a
good.
whole bunch of issues. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, what William was trying to get to, which I'm not sure if you kind of got it or understood it, but basically, it's like this. So, okay, so for instance, in Christianity, we have, you know, hundreds of denominations, thousands of denominations, and um, the one thing we can point to is we can go back in history and we can find out what the original Christians what they believed, right? And so the reason that that's important is because they're the closest to the apostles. So if there's any type of truth, it would be within the first, second, or third century. And you don't find the way you believe until centuries later. So that, and the reason why it, again, is significant, like what the enemies thought of it, is because no matter, you know, whether it was from the Bible, the actual Christians, or even the enemies, they all, we can all point to what they actually believed, because the enemies wrote about it, the Christians wrote about it, and then there's the Bible. So that's why I asked you, I said, why don't you um how do I put it? Okay, I guess let me put it like this. Even if you don't believe it, you have to admit that at least that is true, that that is what the early Christians believed. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I get the point. But there is so much space out there. It's like this. You see you see from afar, and you see a star, and as you get closer to it, the star has planets around it, and as you get closer to it, there is large spaces between each of those planetary bodies, right? So if you're going into the star from afar, it's as if you will interact with it, but as you get closer, the difficult it becomes to interact with it, because there's so much spaces that you can easily pass through and not interact. Okay, now it's a similar situation. You might think certain aspects of historical writings that have been preserved, which gives you a tiny little window into history, and gives you, okay, historically speaking, in the first century, certain groups of people thought about certain truths in this manner. Okay, I get it. But that's not the entire truth. There were also other people who did not think like that. So now, if you hold onto these two positions, for example, um, William thinks I have no lead if I mention Ebionites. He thinks, oh, okay, Ebionites believed whatever, whatever, and their beliefs are not contradictory beliefs to what our church father believed. So he will take a generalized position, okay? But if you look deeper, there are obvious issues on what Ebionites believe to be true,
Oh, sorry,
right?
real quick, if you don't mind me asking.
Sure.
Okay, so I think the main issue is this, right? What did
Yeah.
the very first Christians believe? Because, and here's my thing, right? It goes, even if you don't believe, and let's just say the New Testament, the you know the what Paul wrote, and you know what John wrote, like the book of Revelation and whatnot, book of Hebrews, we can still figure out what the very first Christians believed, because we have historical documents about it. And the fact is, it's like the best way I can describe it is this. Um, I feel like your logic, and again, I said it with all, just with all respect. I feel like the equivalent would be like somebody robbing a bank, or somebody being put on trial, and they're put on trial, and they're just saying, "Hey, just trust me," right?
Mm,
And all they're saying is just trust what I say, right?
mm,
And then
mm,
there's another person put on trial, and they say, "Well, why don't you check the cameras?" Right?
mm,
And then he says, "Oh, well, you know what? I was with my wife at this time."
mm,
Oh, basically, we can point to all
mm,
these these documents and like the
mm,
enemies of the faith.
mm,
We could point to the Bible, because even though yes, there was all these little groups here and there, we still
mm,
had one main group.
mm,
And even if you don't believe it, you
mm.
still can't deny that there was that one main group, and they really had one thought process on it. Was there other groups? Yeah, but again, those groups, um, even the Christians wrote about those groups. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The reason why I am opposed to studying these historical groups and their belief systems is this: when I go back to the gospel accounts, Jesus accuses the disciples of not understanding him a great deal. You find this in the synoptic gospels. A great deal of effort is not just in the synoptics, but also in the gospel of John. A great deal of emphasis is laid that the disciples are not able to follow him, not able to follow Christ. And he simplifies the parables as he goes. And towards the end, just before the Garden of Gethsemane, is when the disciples are somehow giving a confirmatory statement that, okay, now you spoke in plain language, and now we were able to understand what you just said. So if you see, during the ministerial time period, you have associates of Jesus, his bosom friends. They were with him whither he went. So they were having difficulty in interpreting the scriptures, the teaching that he was giving them. So now, how do I, who gets an awareness of this very fact that people had difficulty understanding what he was saying on the fly, and they did not even have these scriptures written down, so they could sit and contemplate. Okay, see, these are two different things. I make my statements, and you might gather some meaning out of it, but if I wrote down my statements and you have time to sit and contemplate, you get to the depth of what I was trying to say to you. Okay. That's why people of religion today are doing a better job at studying the scriptures than people of our time. Of our time, scriptures were very scarce. Like, not everybody could have had their hand on it. So it was just one manuscript for the entire village or for the entire town. And that one manuscript was with somebody. And whatever he said on the authority that he possessed, that manuscript would be absorbed. And the beliefs would begin forming based off that um, sermon from that person. So the scarcity of manuscripts and the scarcity of investment in terms of the brain power from people of religion enthusiasts was so minimal that these beliefs became formulated pretty much in um, protected circles. So they did not go through the scrutiny of larger masses where people could have pitched in with their respective views, opinions, and what these teachings might have been, what they would mean, and what they really stand out for, etc., etc. So when I read the gospel accounts and I see the difficulty that the disciples themselves were having with understanding the scriptures, I cannot grant authenticity to any other group that since emerged. Of course, they might have done good things. I'm not saying if they were having an inaccurate or inadequate understanding of the scriptures, they were not true Christians. That is not my position. Okay,
Well,
even
actually,
today.
let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so if I wanted to learn about the Quran,
Yeah,
should I learn it from Christians or from Muslims?
you should learn it from the Quran. You should
Okay,
not
so
learn that from the Christians, not from the
okay,
Muslims. Yeah,
now when I'm reading the Quran, should I read it with a Christian mindset, or should I read it with an open mindset?
with an open mindset.
Okay, so then, but you see what you're kind of doing though. You're taking the Christian Bible from a already biased mindset, because you already can't see it from a open mindset, because no Christian really thinks of it the way you do. when you actually, because let me explain to you something real quick. My background.
Sure.
My background. I was a Jehovah's Witness, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's a distorted view of the Bible where they take things out. We have a totally different outlook of who Jesus is, right? Then I actually became a Christian when I actually read the Bible. So what the Jehovah's Witness, you've heard of Jehovah's Witnesses before?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so they have these doctrines that are not actually in the Bible, but they just tell you it's in there's bits and pieces of it in the Bible, and they have a distorted view of Jesus. The day that I actually read the Bible for myself, you can plainly see that everything that the Jehovah's Witnesses tell you is actually false. And from what I hear from you, you're not actually reading the Bible the way it's even supposed to be read. You're just reading it from a very and I mean this really respectfully, man. Like I said, I love your channel, bro. You
Yeah.
do good work. I genuinely enjoy it. But you're doing yourself a disservice by not actually reading the Bible because you're already coming into it with these biased views, and you already have this lens of what you think it means without even reading it fully. Let me ask you: have you read the full New Testament fully? Honestly,
It's difficult to say, but
honestly.
I'm not interested in reading the other books in the New
But that's
Testament.
my point. But
Okay.
okay, so hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out, brother,
Yeah.
real quick.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, that's my point, right? If you're not interested in actually even reading it, then you really can't say what it's about, right? Because that'd be like me. Because this is what I don't like either. When I see
Yeah.
a lot of these Christians that talk about the Quran, in my mind, I say, okay, because granted, I don't know that much about I really don't know anything about the Quran. But when I hear Christians talking about the Quran, in my mindset, I think, are they reading it with a Christian lens? Did they even read the full Quran, or are they picking parts of the Quran and they're saying things with a Christian twist? You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I feel like that's what you're doing. So I see a lot of these Christians doing it, and it seems like that's what you're doing with the Bible, as opposed to actually just reading. You just read the New Testament, because if you read the actual New Testament, right, when you go into the book of Acts, and then that follows after the book of John, and you see what happens to the apostles, then you see what happens to the disciples. It's very organized. It's very structured. It's not like they just went out and this happened and this happened. All I'm saying is I think you should give it a chance, and I think you owe it to yourself. That way, when you do talk to Christians, because I'll tell you what, Christians know this. When you talk to Christians, we all can tell that you don't know what you're talking about. And when I say that, and I'm like, you don't got to be a scholar to just read the Bible and see what it's talking about. You get what I'm saying? It's very
Okay.
clear.
Now here is my response to that. Okay. So if I'm like, in the language that William uses, I'm butchering the Bible, right? So if I'm butchering the Bible, suppose, say for example, in yesterday's debate that GodLogic had with Jake Brancatella,
Uh-huh.
GodLogic had a very good understanding of some passages of the Quran. Okay, that's my position. So if you go back to some of the videos, you can see that me articulate the same thing. But in other passages where GodLogic was quoting, he was butchering the Quran. Okay,
Yeah.
now if GodLogic comes and talks to me, I will explain him how he actually butchered the Quranic verses, and I will give him the correct rendering of what those verses mean with with in a convincing way. So he will not have a way out of it. Okay.
Well,
So
okay.
I can do that. Okay. I
You
can
said
do that.
something real good. You said something real good, and I like that. Um, do you think it would? Okay, so basically, correct me if I'm wrong. Context is everything, right? So if God Logic says something that's out of context, I
Yeah.
guess we can agree that it'd be best for him to. And I'm not saying he hasn't. I didn't even watch it, so I'm talking out of ignorance right now. But
Yeah.
it would be best for him to read the full Quran to get the full context, right?
Now apparently he said he has done it twice. He's read it twice,
Okay, so I don't
and
know. Okay,
he's done it twice. But still, it's possible because it's a huge text. You see, and these texts like these have a lot of substance to it, and not everybody will absorb the entirety of these texts, like, because these are the words of God, right? So when God is speaking from heaven and prophets are synthesizing these communications to people, people need to effort greatly to understand the context and the depth of the message being communicated. Okay, so the same things apply to the Gospels and to the Quran. Okay, we can all make mistakes in how we read off the Bible, how we read off the Quran.
Correct.
We all can
Yes.
make mistakes. And that's why I don't rely on historical readings. That is the reason why I don't rely on the
You
early Islamic interpretations of the Quran. Because you see, what happened with me is this. I'll tell you this. I read the Quran for a long time without any foreign influence. Okay, no, just the Quran, bare text. I read that for a long time. Okay, then I wanted to know what others thought of certain things, which where I thought my ideas were not mature. Okay, so I read other tafsirs. That's the first point. Okay, so I went to Ibn Kasir and I read Tabari, and I was impressed. When I started reading, I was impressed because obviously they have spent their lifetime to annotate on the scriptures. So in the beginning, I was impressed. But as I dug deeper, I realized the frailty, um, the weakness of people in medieval times to comment on certain scripture, because these scriptures are timeless. Do you understand these timeless
sure.
communications that God makes
Yeah.
with people, right? So this is for future of human beings, future generations, right? So people back in that day had so less visibility in terms of knowledge that their annotations of certain scripture just falls off the mark. And that's when I began to realize, okay, this is not how you go and um, propagate the scripture with these historical annotations of the scripture. So
Well,
that's not the
okay.
way to go forward, you see.
Well, here's my thing, right? Again,
Yeah,
so it's just, and again, I can't speak for all Christians, and again, I
yeah,
still say this with respect because, like I said, man, you're doing amazing work.
yeah,
You keep killing it.
yeah.
Um, but I think what happens is, and again, I could only imagine the opposite too, right? For a Muslim, but when a Muslim or someone like you um picks verses, right, and we know that it's out of context because Christians actually have read the full New Testament,
Yeah.
right? And that's why I say even if you don't believe it, or even if you don't want to go to the historical, the history or whatever the case may be, you're doing your disservice at least um to your viewers if you don't actually just read it, even if you don't believe it, even if you don't believe it, or even
Uh,
even if you don't like I said, even if you don't believe it, just
Can I
read the
quickly
New
say?
Testament.
Can I quickly say something here?
Sure,
That's
yeah.
when I'm open to providing the opportunity, and that's why debates are helpful, right? And that's why I'm for debates. I treat debates as tools of learning. So that's when the the other side has the opportunity to educate me on the context,
but
on the
but
importance of certain passages that I'm ignoring in
but you'll miss the
understanding certain
context.
passages.
But I think that's the issue, right? Is you'll miss the context if you don't read it for yourself. Because I
But the
can
thing
say
is, there
something
is
to
an
you and
opportunity, Mike. There is an opportunity for, say, William. I was talking to William. I've
uh-huh.
had some 3 debates with him so far. So there is ample opportunities, and even he controls the mic. So there's ample opportunities for William to educate me on how what is the correct rendering of the scripture that I'm quoting, and I'm misunderstanding
But
and doing a disservice.
and I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But
Yeah.
I guess my gripe with that is just because he tells you, "Oh, you're reading that wrong," it's not gonna register to you unless you read it for yourself. You get what I'm saying? Because um, I could open the Quran and I could see something, right? And if I don't know the full context, I can take it out of context. You get what I'm saying? But since you read the Quran, um you can school me. But wouldn't it be better if I actually just read the Quran if I'm going to be challenging Muslims? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. And that's exactly what even I'm doing, brother. I'm not asking you to go and read the Tafsir Ibn Kasir or At-Tabari or Ibn Sina or Jalalain. I'm not I'm not saying that you have to read these people or their understanding, first century Muslims, how they understood the Quran.
Yeah, and
I'm
forget
not
about
asking you to
first.
do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Forget about the history
you
of
have to only
Christians.
go
Just
back
read.
and read the Quran. That's exactly what I'm doing too. I'm going back and reading the main gospel accounts, right? But if you have, say, suppose for example, if you as a Christian you think I'm butchering some passages of the Bible because I don't have a fuller understanding of what the context was like,
Uh-huh.
then that's when you have to step in and say, because of this reason, you cannot interpret this verse to mean this. Okay?
I get that,
Yeah.
and mind you, I'm not a debater, but it's one of those things that, again, coming from again, a Jehovah's Witness background, right?
Yeah.
Um, we would essentially kind of have apologetics with people out on the streets. You know, we think that we know the truth. It literally,
Mm,
our in our sect of Christianity, it was called the truth, right? Quote unquote,
mm,
the truth.
mm,
Um, and you'll battle all day, right? You'll
mm,
battle with Catholics, with all types of Protestants, with Muslims.
mm,
You'll battle all day into the nighttime, but you always think that you're right until you actually, like I said, the day that I actually read the full New Testament, um, it opened my eyes to who Jesus actually was,
mm,
and I actually left them
mm,
and became like a regular Christian. So
mm,
what I'm saying is I get what you're saying about a debate, which
mm,
is good, but you will never change your mind
mm.
unless you actually just read it with an unbiased lens.
Oh,
Read, and I'd say the full New Testament to get a full, because like I said, even if you don't believe it, that's perfectly fine. But that way you can at least um understand what the what that original context was. Because right now
mm,
at this moment in time, I've heard some of your stuff, and it just sounds wild, because if you read the full New Testament, it's a lot of the stuff you say is just it's and again, respectfully, it's just totally out of context.
yeah.
But you wouldn't know that, again, you wouldn't know that because you haven't read it.
Yeah. But the fact is, I'm talking to people who are learned people in Christianity. And if I'm having certain wild ideas about certain passages, they can correct me with the right understanding by
But
quoting
they have though.
passages. Huh?
I said, but they have though.
No, so
And the
far
thing is,
I don't think
when they
they have.
correct you, you don't believe them because you don't know that, you haven't read it for yourself.
Like for example, in the in the debate with William on Marian tribal marker, right?
Uh-huh.
So we had a debate on Mary's tribal markers in the Gospel of Luke, and we debated about how the language was used in the Gospels, that Elizabeth was the daughter of Aaron. That language was also in the Quran, that Mary was the daughter of Imran, and the sister of Aaron. So with this, I demonstrated, look, it's a similar language in both Gospel and the Quran. It's only a tribal marker that tells
Mhm.
you the descent of Mary. And I believe all that William was saying in the effort to refute it was this. He said the Gospel language is a plural language, and therefore it is a tribal marker, and the language in the Quran is based off the singular, so therefore it isn't a tribal marker. So, and this is not a metric with which I can become impressed. Okay, plural and singulars and plurals are not indicative of uh, the the discernment that one may need to identify which is a tribal marker and which isn't. Okay, so if Michael has this thing as his best tool in the kit, I'm not impressed. So you might have to find a better theologian or a Christian um, scholar who can give me a better indicator of why those tribal markers are not really tribal markers and something else. So if a Christian cannot convince me on that, then I'm going to go off with that and insist my position to be true.
I again, I understand what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
I'm strictly just talking about, you know, not just, again, just the New Testament. When you're okay, I put it to you like this. Even when I watch Christians, right, and they engage with Muslims,
Yeah.
in my point of view, if you haven't read the Quran, then you really shouldn't be talking to Muslims. I'm not saying like God Logic or any of these other Christians haven't,
Yeah.
but you know, if you really haven't read the full Quran, you shouldn't be engaging, because you're bound to take a whole bunch of text out of context. And what I'm saying is, even if you add it's just one. I feel like it's just a prerequisite to engage with Christians, to at least know what their book is about by at least reading it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not, because you may have a lot of good points, but just reading the Bible, the New Testament for yourself, you just can't come to a lot of your conclusions. So
Okay.
even if you don't
Now,
agree with it, I again, like I said, just read it. It's not.
okay.
It'll do you good.
Okay. My response is this. I would articulate my disagreement with you with this example. Okay. So you can absorb it much better. Okay. Do you reckon Jake Brancatella has read the Quran many more times than God Logic?
Probably, yeah, definitely.
Okay. But I discern God Logic has a better understanding of some of the passages of the Quran, and Jake Brancatella hasn't got it.
And
That's
I
my
know, but see
that's just
that
my
builds
opinion.
another. But
All
see
right.
that also brings up another question, right? Interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's still another. But that's a different subject, right? So even
Yeah.
if you read the scriptures, the Christian scriptures,
Yeah.
you may have a different interpretation, but you'll still come to pretty much the same conclusion of all other Christians.
No, not necessarily. You see, my understanding of the passages in the chapter 5 of the Quran and God logic, the way he understands it, we kind of resonate
Hmm.
together, but Jake doesn't. I'm a Muslim, Jake is a Muslim, and God logic is a Christian. But God logic resonates with my understanding of those passages and does not resonate with Jake's understanding of those passages. So, what do you make out of this? So no
So
matter
this
how
is
many times we are reading, what is your understanding? How
okay.
better can you understand those
So this
passages? Is the
so
question mark, right?
okay. So this is what I for Christians, right?
Yeah,
Most all Christians still believe the same thing. We all believe, we still have the pretty much the same for the most part, we all believe the same thing. There might be little nuances here and there of like um you know, the filioque way, or you know, it's just real minor stuff, or you know, some people it's major, but we pretty much believe the Trinity. We could find it in scriptures. We believe in the main stuff. Now, for those other minor things, if let's just say we have five Christians and we all disagree, this is where I say, okay, well, let's look at historically, what did the first Christians believe? That's kind of that tiebreaker. So that's how you solve what the true interpretation is. That's when you start going into history. So like for instance, like with Muslims, I would assume, I don't know, you could correct me if I'm wrong. If you have, like you said, if you got two Muslims together and they're reading the Quran, what's that tiebreaker? Can you go to the what did the first Muslims believe about that passage, or at least like when it was being written or whatnot, or what's the tiebreaker? Because if you believe it's one way, and another Muslim believes it another way, there has to be, in my mind, that's where history comes in, where the original Muslims would have they would have viewed it that way.
I totally get your point. I totally get your point, and I respect it. Okay, and it's important at times to go back into history and see how early people thought about it and what were their impressions on certain passages. But that does not guarantee that you're walking away with the truth. That's my point. My point is you have to find maximum justification to hold
Proof.
certain views on certain
You'd have to find
passages.
proof, right?
Yeah, that's what I call it, maximum justification. But if I am able to find maximum justification, and that's greater than what you find in history, and the from the existing Muslim position who disagree with me, then we all have to confirm to the maximum justification. So that requires engagement. That requires my opponents to engage with me and not just assert, but investigate the justification and assess the justification and see the merits, pros and cons, and basically come up with a refutation. If I am presenting a maximum justification of certain passages, and if, say, Jake disagrees with me because he's backed up with history, he has to present a defense dissecting my justification. He has to prove my justification as false. That's a necessary requirement on Jake. He should do it.
I think a lot of your justifications are just your opinions. So a lot of times that like I watched the one with you and William, and you know, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm Christian.
Yeah.
I'm also Catholic as well. I
Yeah.
was a Protestant, became Catholic, but you
Yeah.
know, I'm rooting for you too. I'm like, a lot of times I'm like, man, come on, Daniel, come with that proof. Like,
Yeah.
not in a way of like, um, you know, I am. I'm genuinely rooting for you, but you have to come with proof because when you talk, especially when you're talking to Christians,
Yeah.
especially Catholics.
Yeah.
Catholics are big on sources, outside sources, inside
Yeah.
sources. We
Yeah.
like to collect as much proof as possible. Even if you don't agree with it, that's fine. But
Yeah.
if you don't come with proof, what happens is I think a lot of Christians will look at you and say, um, we can't really jive with him because he's just giving his own opinion and not giving actual proof. He's not showing any sources. He's not, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. Now here's a very good example. Okay. In our last debate, me and William, I gave him the difference between Pesach and Yom Kippur, Passover and the Day of Atonement. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I gave him a streak of historical references on how Pesach was a militarized context built on themes of liberation, freedom from bondage, framing a new nation, and all of these, okay, um, deep in historical context and hermeneutics. But William just ignores it. William thinks Passover can still be attributed to Yom Kippur. Passover, the event of Passover can still be um, still have some derived benefits. Yom Kippur can still have some derived benefits out of Passover. That was his position. Okay, but I can call, okay, that's just your opinion, even though you have historical rooting for that in early Christianity. It's just the opinion of the early scholars because what they are doing, in my opinion, is ignoring the historical context of the event of Passover, and they're conflating Yom Kippur to somehow uh, um, have a strong linkage or a bond with Passover. Well, it's two completely different seasons. If you see Jewish history, Pesach and Yom Kippur are completely two different seasons. So when I'm presenting a historical context, William just brushes it off with his opinions. And now, how do you assess the situation? Even though you are having first century Christians, um, you know, um, ascertaining your position, but
Okay.
my position really goes back to hermeneutics
Well,
and the origins
let
of
me
these
ask you
dates. Yeah,
let me ask you something, right?
yeah, sure.
So let's just say I was to give a um let's just say an atheist, right? I was to give him the New Testament, right? Do
Yeah.
you think that he would come back with it and say, "Oh man, this when the Passover happened, he was speaking war language"? Because speaking for myself, like I said, as a Jehovah's Witness or whatever, you don't when you actually read everything fully. No, I
Uh,
don't. I don't know. I've never heard anybody say that it was jihad or anything of that nature. It did. I don't. I truly believe nobody would ever get that type of thought process from reading the uh the Passover or the stuff about the Eucharist. It's just you just can't get it. It doesn't fit.
this should inform you, brother Mike, that I'm not biased. I'm not reading into the Islamic bias because no Islamic guy has said that so far. So
So then
this
I should let
itself
you know that
should
it's
inform
a
you.
brand new. It's a brand
Exactly.
new view.
Absolutely.
It,
So,
so
so
so here's where historic history comes in.
go ahead.
Just
Go
think
ahead.
about it like this, brother. Think about it like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
If you're the only person in 2026 years that has this idea, then this is a very new
Yeah.
thought process on it. And not
Yeah.
only that, that's how new religions start,
Yeah.
because people start new religions based off of a reading that they read, and they say, "Oh man, I like that. This is
Yeah.
what I think. This is right," and that starts new
Yeah.
sects.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is there's no possible way you could read that and get that inference from it. But again, that's why I say, brother, you
At least you
gotta
should
just
concede that I'm not biased, Mike. Do you agree with me?
I believe you're biased. But I think
How?
that you have
Because
good intention.
if there's no precedent for 2000 and odd years, I'm not following anything, right? I'm not following the
Well,
bias, right?
I think you have good intention, but I think you're trying to, because here's the thing, right? Again,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, okay, like I keep going back to being a Jehovah's Witness. When I was Jehovah's Witness, I would read the Bible with my bias. Like just it was there's no way I couldn't do it, right? Whenever I'd read a passage, there was no way I couldn't read out of my brainwash. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
for instance, about the concept of hell, right?
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in hell, but it's all
Yeah.
throughout the New Testament.
Yeah.
Jesus talks about it, right? And what we do is when we see those passages, we kind of we use justifications for why that's not hell.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, I think that you can't help but be biased because you grew up a Muslim. So when you see and you've been told your whole life how to view Christians, whether right or wrong or good or bad, you've been brought up a certain way to view Christians, to view the Bible, to view Jesus. So when you read the Bible or read the New Testament, you view through that lens, and that's why I say the same way as a Jehovah's Witness. Jehovah's Witnesses are not Christians. They're just not. They're totally left field. They're not even Christians. They're just a sect um that's just diabolical.
Can I quickly respond to what you
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
had to say to me here?
Yeah.
See, for example, you give a very good example that Jehovah's Witnesses get it wrong. For example, hell, right? You
Uh-huh.
know where they're coming out of? They're coming out of this word, Gehenna,
Gehenna,
and
correct. Taurus, yes,
they relate to it as a physical place in Israel, in
correct,
ancient Israel. All right, so they go off like this: oh, it's a place on earth,
correct,
and they try to remodel the concept of hell because it was a historical place somewhere there, right?
correct.
Now, to change their mind, what you have to teach them is how the words originate and how concepts are spun around those words. So if you can educate them on that, then they will realize, okay, there is a possibility, or it's plausible that the hell is a separate place.
Well,
They will
I'll
come
give
to
you a
that
better one.
understanding.
I'll
But
give you a
right
better
now,
one.
they might be going off the word Gehenna as a physical place somewhere in ancient Israel. So that's just an example. But
Yeah,
now, at least, what I'm asking you, Mike, to do is this: if someone has not set a precedent, not a benchmark, and a guy comes up with a new idea, do you call that bias, or do you call that emergent thought process?
well, I would still call it bias because that person had
Why?
a background. Well, let me explain, right? Because you came from a Muslim background, so you already came with these ideas. You're already calling the Eucharist a jihad, like a form of jihad. So it's not like you're an atheist or from an island and you just picked up the book. That I would say is unbiased, right? You came from an island that there's no Bible. Somebody dropped a Bible on that island, and you pick up that Bible and you're literally reading that Bible with fresh eyes. Then I would say you're having a fresh lens. But even then, that person who just picks up that Bible on an island would still never come up with the ideas that you came up with. There's just no possible way.
So you are actually in a way saying to me that human effort to fight the bias always loses, always and
Correct.
all the times loses. Okay,
100.
I
Yeah.
disagree with that. I disagree with that position because human capacity, the intelligibility of human beings, is a tool unlike you will find anywhere. All right. So with this tool, if it was set off to failure because of the bias, God could never have given scripture to people and expected them to amend their thought process. He could have never done that. So the very idea of God communicating scripture would be fallacious, because if people are not capable of reforming their thought process, there is no point for God to
No,
give an
you could
informed
definitely
scripture.
reform your yeah, you could definitely reform your ideas. But what I'm saying is, if you're brought up in a society through the culture, you're gonna view uh, whatever you watch in a certain way, right? And because I overheard your last, excuse me, your live yesterday about the what was it, the beatings? I don't remember exactly what it was called, but uh, those are cultural norms in those areas, right? Those are not cultural norms in the West. So we would not be okay with that stuff. So what I'm saying is, when we see that, when we see those things right in the Quran, we're just like, that's horrible, right? But in your side of town or your side of the world, or in your culture, that's a norm. So even when you look at the books, right? So if I'm looking at the Quran with a Christian lens, it's just an automatic bias. Now that doesn't mean that, like we're talking about, it doesn't mean that you can't be open, but it's going to be harder because if I grew up, like I said, a Jehovah's Witness, I'm going to look at the Christian Bible with a Jehovah's Witness lens, no matter how hard I try not to, until the day that I say, huh, let me take a step back and let me just see what they're talking about. Let me just see what it really means. And what I'm saying with you is, I wholeheartedly believe you have extremely good intentions, but you just can't help but perfect example, you don't even want to read the rest of the New Testament. You don't even care to even be open to it, which lets me know
No,
that you're very biased.
man, don't get me wrong. Don't judge me based off that one single statement that I gave you. Okay, look, even the Islamic tradition, right? I wanted to read it. I tried reading it, but I could not sustain reading it because I could see the falsities in it, and those falsities were unimpressive for me to continue to read them. And the same
You know what'd
applies
be
to the
interesting?
same applies to the other books of the New Testament. Some of the
You
books
know,
are good, like for example, the book of James is good. Even the um, Paul's letter to Titus, that's impressive. But not every other New Testament book is impressive to me.
you know what'd
You know
be
what I mean? What?
interesting would be you going through like um a series of the New Testament, and so you read the whole book of Matthew, and you just say, hey, um give your opinion on it. Go through the whole book of Mark, Luke, John. Then you go through the book of Acts. Go through the New Testament and just give your opinion, but wholeheartedly and honestly read it, and then maybe not even give your opinion. Just say, hey, this is what it was about. Because I feel like, again, you know what that does too is that builds trust with the Christians, because then at least we know, hey, this brother's actually legitly trying. Because I hear a lot of people calling you dishonest.
Mm,
There's a reason why they're calling you dishonest,
mm,
and it's not that you're trying to be dishonest. Because again, your intentions are pure and
mm.
super good, but
Yeah.
when you say these things and you're not actively trying, it comes off as dishonest.
Okay. Why do you think the Muslims would call me dishonest?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't follow anything about Muslims, but
Look,
I know as a Christian,
look in the
as a
other debate
Christian,
that I was having with William. Did you see a Muslim guy come up and talk to us?
yeah, I seen that.
And he was cursing me. He was telling I'm not a Muslim at all.
Well, and it's interesting. He did say some interesting things, and I was like,
Yeah.
what he did say was, which caught me, was he said, "You don't even know about the Christians,"
Yeah.
and so that struck me because I go, man, again, I'm rooting for you, Daniel. I go, okay, th- there- that should kind of spark something in you that says, okay, what does he mean by that? I don't even know what the Christians believe. So what I'm saying is that's why I keep going back to, oh, sorry, I just hijacked it. What continue? What were you gonna say?
So the guy gave a streak of opinions about me, and he said
Uh-huh.
I was not well educated in the Islamic belief system, not educated in the Christian belief system. I need to educate more. And his position that he held was, I'm not even a Muslim, because I'm not a traditional Muslim as he was. So his take on me was, as a Muslim, he was a Muslim, right? So I'm a
Yes,
Muslim.
yes.
So he's having a complete negative um, um, idea of my position as a believer, right? And guess what? The Christians may have similar ideas of me, but at the end of the day, who am I? I believe I'm a believer, right? I believe that. I believe I took away a message after I read the scriptures. To a Muslim, if God gave them the Quran and I have read the Quran, I took away a message from it, and which I believe is a positive message, actually helps me in my life. And a Muslim guy comes up to my face and says, "You are not a Muslim, because you're not understanding the scriptures as I do." Okay, so you're not lining up with me, therefore you're not a Muslim. And when I go to the gospel, I read the gospel, I understand the message, I take away a positive message out of it, and a Christian comes up to my face and tells me, "Oh, you're not a Christian, you're not a good Christian, you're doing a disservice because you're not lining up with my belief system." So what does that tell you?
I don't think it's the. I could only speak for the Christians. Is I don't think it's that. It's not that you're not aligning up with anybody's belief, right? Because outside of Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, all other sects of Christians, we predominantly agree are all Christians, right? Because you don't have a firm under. The reason why I would never consider you a Christian is because you don't have uh, any real understanding of the New Testament. Like you take things completely out of context. And again, the only way you would ever know that is by reading it. So I couldn't call you a Christian because even though you say, yeah, I read the verses of I read what Jesus says, you just take it totally out of context. It's just not a lot of the stuff that you said is just like just by reading the Bible, you're not gonna get that idea. But again, even me being even though I'm a Catholic, I would
Mm,
consider a Baptist a Christian. Even though he
mm,
doesn't believe what I believe, he's still a Christian. I would
mm.
consider a non-denominational Christian,
Yeah.
even though we don't believe the same exact things. I wouldn't, because you know why? We all believe predominantly the same concept of who Jesus was
Mm,
and what he did, and so on and so forth. So
mm,
um, that may not be the same for Muslims, but for Christians, we even if we believe one or the others, may not
mm,
have the fullness of the truth or whatnot, we still believe we're all Christians.
mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a matter of time before all of this dust that's raised settles down. It's engagement is just beginning to happen now. Like, if I remember when I was a little kid, it was very difficult for the Muslims and the Christians to engage on a single stage
Yeah,
meaningfully. But that began with some
yeah,
debates, and then now when I'm grown up, I'm seeing it's happening a lot more than it used to happen before, but it's not really happening in the spirits of learning from each other. It is happening with the ferocity of defending positions and calling out or sending condemnations on each other. Okay, that's the ferocity at this point in time. But there has to be a point, and I'm sure there will be a point, and we're heading towards it, where we will finally begin to meaningfully engaging. Okay, and that's the point when the dust will settle down, and people will have a very in-depth um, conversations about each and everything.
yeah,
And the day that happens, there will be much more clarity, and people will be able to articulate and explain at length on which position is valid, what is the justification, and how we can ascertain a fallacious position from a more appropriate or a correct, coherent position on understanding certain passages of the Bible. It's a good headwind. All I can say is at this point in time, it's a good headwind, and we are heading in the right direction. And all we need to do is put our egos down and respect each other more, and let a good discussion synthesize.
I agree. Yeah.
That's all we have to do. So
Definitely.
we are on the right trajectory, and hopefully things will become much more clear. And I'm always willing, I grant. Look, every day I want to talk to Christians every day, but it doesn't happen.
And I,
Unfortunately, it doesn't happen, right?
and again, brother, I tell you
Yeah,
what. Um, First off, you're doing the right thing because I found out about you, and I'm pretty sure everybody else did by Sam Shamoon,
yeah,
right? And um, the tip I'll give you is keep doing that. And I understand that you're trying to debate these other Christians, but keep doing that. But
mm,
again, I keep going back to just
sure,
open up those scriptures. Just open
sure,
up the New
absolutely.
Testament, the full
I will
full New
try.
Testament.
I will
Huh?
try.
Was that?
I've never been against it. The only reason why I haven't done readings of certain scriptures which people think as scriptures. Like, for example, the position that Salafi Muslims, think the Bukhari to be the scripture. You should know this, right? But I don't consider Bukhari to be scripture. But there are Muslims who consider that to be scripture, and they want me to read that, right? I tried.
Well,
All I'm saying is I have tried. It's not that I've not tried. I've tried it, but I can
well,
see
the difference is all
the weak
Christians.
side of it. Yeah,
The difference is all Christians
yeah,
believe that the New Testament is inspired. Like we all believe that that's part of the Bible. So
yeah,
you can't. I've never heard of any. Well, I mean, again, unless you're talking about Mormons, but those aren't Christians, right?
yeah.
All Christians believe that the full New Testament is part of the Bible. So
Mm,
everybody's in unison. Even if you're a Baptist, Catholic,
mm,
non-denominational, you're not going to
mm.
have any um debate about that. I mean,
Yeah,
somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard of any Christian denomination saying, "Oh, well, you know, we only follow the gospel."
yeah,
I've never heard of that before a day in my life. But
yeah.
the point being is this: if you do that, Daniel, I promise you, you're gonna get a lot more Christians to not just follow you, but just be behind you.
Right.
Because again, the one thing about, like, if I was watching Muslims, you're the
Yeah,
only. I'm trying to think. There's probably one or two other Muslims that I may watch, but you're the only one that I actually watch,
yeah.
because you engage with Christians, just you engage better. I think you're the best person to actually engages
Mm,
with the best intentions, right?
mm, mm, mm.
But
Well,
I would never watch a Christian if I
mm,
knew, like, I would never watch a Christian YouTuber if he was
mm,
debating Muslims if I knew that he didn't read the Quran.
mm.
You understand what I'm trying to say? I
I,
as a
I
Christian,
get
I
you.
wouldn't even watch him,
I get you. Yeah, yeah.
because in my mind I go, how can you debate a Muslim and
Mm,
you don't even understand their view of the Quran?
mm,
You're
mm,
just taking context and putting your biases in.
mm.
And I feel like, again, and respectfully, that's what you're doing.
Mm.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because you see, my position is different. You see, like, even though GodLogic told he has read the Quran twice, um, I can grant him, on face value that he has read the Quran twice. Okay, but even if he didn't read it and he just read parts of the Quran passages, I still believe he can come at the correct understanding based off what he has read and thought about those passages. I still believe that. So my
But you trust
position
him
is,
more, though, no?
sorry.
You trust him more because he's read it, or at least he says he's read it twice, so you trust him more, though, right?
Uh, no, not because he's read it more. Like, for example, Jake has significantly read the Quran many more times than
What I'm
God
saying, that
Logic.
him as a Christian, you could sit there and say, okay, I can at least appreciate that. I could respect that. That's what I guess my point. Him being
No,
a Christian,
the true appreciation that comes out of me is when uh, the understanding of Scripture resonates with me. That's the only time I can truly appreciate. So some of the Islamic scholars, they have read the Quran. They do it day and night. They do it every day. I don't know how many times they've finished their Quran. Um, but if they are talking about it, for example, I gave the example of Zakir Naik, right, and a Muslim preacher.
Uh-huh.
I'm not at all impressed with his readings of the Quran. I'm not at all impressed.
Is
So
that
what
is
can
that
we
the
do?
is that the Indian Muslim?
Yeah, the Indian Muslim.
Okay, okay.
I'm not at all impressed with his understanding, with his renderings of the Quranic verses. So no matter how many times he reads, it doesn't resonate with me. Okay. And what is the criteria? The criteria is how can you justify? That's the only criteria I walk away with. What is your justification? I want to see the merits of your justification. If you can prove it, if you can justify the understanding that you're getting out of the passage, then I will be convinced. All I'm looking at is justification. What is your justification? And you don't have to read the entirety of the Quran according to my view. You don't have to. But if you've read some passages and understood them really well, and you can justify your understanding, that's what I will base off. You know what I mean? That'll be my base to work with. If you can understand me. So
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I gotta head out. But Daniel, hey, I appreciate you giving me the time to come up on here. I really appreciate it, man.
I
And
really appreciate you
keep,
coming
keep
here, Mike. And
no problem,
you
brother.
know, God bless, brother. God
Hey,
bless.
God bless you too. And like I said, I definitely think that you should um do it. Like I said, maybe think about doing a series on the Bible, a series on the
What
New Testament.
I will consider that. I will consider your opinions. And why don't you do me one favor? When you
Uh-huh.
go to GodLogic and IP and all of these people, why don't you tell them about me that I'm a good guy that they can engage with, right? Give them
Okay,
an
I definitely
impression that
will.
I'm a good guy
Yeah,
that they have to engage with.
I definitely will. I
Thank
definitely
you.
will.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you.
brother. You take it easy, man.
All right, take it easy. God
All
bless.
right.
Bye.
God bless.
Wonderful brother here. So this is what we need, guys. Wonderful people should come and talk. And that will send out a new vibe into the world, the vibe of happiness, the vibe of joy, the vibe of collaboration, the vibe of friendliness. And this is what we're missing in the world. There's enough animosity, bitterness, um, hateful sentiments. Doesn't help the world at all. What definitely would help the world is friendly behavior, respectful behavior, coordination, collaboration, cooperation. These are things that we learn as good things all through our lives. Why don't we apply them? It's simple to apply them. So only when it comes down to religion, which are our core beliefs, we let go of these good things and we begin fighting. That's incorrect. Religion is good. So you have to bring in the good tools to build your religion, not evil tools to help prop your religion up in your mind. That's just the opposite of what God would expect us to do. So use your good tools in the kit to support and establish the base of your faith and your religion. Don't use evil tools or bad tools in your kit to help prop up your faith and religion, because one day it's going to fall down. All right. If you did that, it's going to fall down. So who else is here? Don't forget to throw a like, sub if you haven't subbed, share the stream, and come on, engage. So you're most welcome to come on board here. Hit the link in the chat and come and engage with me. That was a wonderful chat with the brother Mike. Uh, and when you come on my channel, be sure you go to the posts, and I've got a post. I want to take some insights as to who follow me. So in that post, you have who are my subscribers, Muslim, Christian, or atheist. Don't forget to cast a ballot there. Um, do your duties. Your duties help me develop an understanding with you, with my subscription base. That's always helpful, because then I can tailor my content, and I can have a better relationship, useful relationship with my viewership and audience. Okay, so it's wonderful talking to good people. And all I recommend is this: when you go on other people's stream, recommend to them that they have to talk to me, and I'm waiting to engage with them, debates or discussions, what and what not. I'm open to all possibilities, and nothing is out of the table. Okay, so let us engage and build a better world. Okay, that's at least what I think. So you guys are currently watching me, 8 of you, and if you don't come on board to talk to me, I'm the kind of person that cannot talk to myself forever, and especially not to the camera. Okay, but if you don't want to come on board and talk to me, you can at least type in the chat and engage with me, asking questions on the chat. But if you can't do both of these things, then I might have to call it a day and close the stream. Well, if you don't want me to close the stream, then you have to choose one of these two options. Come on board, talk to me face to face. Even though you don't want to show your face, that's still fine. With your audio system is still fine. Or by engaging on the chat here, chatting with me would be another good option to keep me engaged. Else, I might have to close the stream. So really the option is with you. So I'm going to give you under 5 minutes. So that could be anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. Okay, that you have to make your decision to come and talk to me here, or I might as well call it a day. Okay, so it's beautiful. I enjoyed talking today to Mike. Good guy. God bless him and his family, and mine and my family, and me and my family. Okay, I'll say that correctly. So I think you kind of liked you guys liked you kind of got you kind of liked my adjudication of the debate today between Jake Brancatella and GodLogic. I try to not be biased. That's my uh, prerogative. I always watch out for my own brain tricking me down. Okay, I do watch out. I'm trained. In fact, I'm trained to watch out my own brain tricking me down. Although, God is the most knowledgeable, and we are human. We can all make mistakes. Even though when we are doing our best, we can still do mistakes. All right, that's possible. So I'm not a Superman, so I can make mistakes. The word and I. Hey, brother, you're on my channel. You're welcome, bro. Come on, talk to me. Come on, talk to me, word and I. Hit the link and come and talk to me. It's good to see you here. It's good to see you here. Come on, talk to me. Let's have a conversation about who won the debate. Warren and I. Please come in. And let's also chat about our debate that's falling off from the table with James. So hit the link, bro. Come in. Come in, brother. Come in. I'm waiting for you. Let's have a little chat about this. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And let's see how we are thinking about this debate, and let's assess our points of view. Come in, brother. Ward and I, come in. You know what, and I mean, I don't know how much you watch me. I just got off work, gotta shower up. No, you don't have to show your face. Just we'll have a brief chat, like for 10 minutes, not more than that, I suppose. Should be fine. You don't know how much you watch my streams, but I praise you a lot. Do you know what I mean? I talk about you a lot. I say you're better. I even say sometimes you're better than GodLogic. I did say about that yesterday though. I said you were better than GodLogic. I definitely said you were better than Chris Claus. And a student of Chris Claus, I suppose, she came up to me and she interacted with me. And she's the one who told me Chris Claus was your teacher as well. I said, "What? How can that be?" And I said to her, "You were a much better Christian apologist." So I do talk about you. All right. So why don't you just come up? Let's have a chat about this debate, and I want to know what you thought about it. So you don't have to come with your face. Don't worry about it. Just audio will do good. And I did give out a big debate review in this stream, so I don't mind talking about um, it again with you. It'll be fantastic. In fact, so guys, if you haven't really liked, throw a like. If you haven't subbed, throw a sub. And guess what? Be like the Romans in the arena of gladiators because they want the best. They want their emperor to fight, and if he's unworthy, to die. Okay, so be like them. I keep telling this to Muslim people. Muslims have to be at least like the Roman infidels. At least be like them. Request the top-notch debates. Ask, Libiano to debate me if he disagrees with me. That's what I tell them, right? So give me a second. Cool, cool, cool. Take your time. So I keep telling this to Muslims. I keep telling them, at least be like the infidels of Rome. At least. You got to be better for sure because you're believers, but at least be as much as the infidels in Rome. They requested their emperor to come and fight, face off the gladiator. What is an emperor compared to a slave gladiator? Nothing. But they wanted that fight. They wanted to see that fight, that battle, that debate. Okay? So be like them. Be at least like those Roman infidel spectators in the arena of gladiators, right? Be like them at least. So you got to request debates. Only then you will see maximum knowledge dished out and fantastic battles being fought. It's boring to debate Jake Brancatella again and again on Islamic dilemma while he does not make progress. Jake Brancatella had the same sort of arguments with David Wood, and GodLogic somehow clarified it right in the beginning. In the opening statement, he clarifies what Islamic dilemma isn't, but you did not see. I mean, at least I did not see Jake articulate better, come up with better argumentation. He just kept those arguments exactly the same as he had with David Wood. Hey, hello, brother. Um, have a salam to you onto the channel. You're coming here for the first time, so I'm welcoming you.
What's up, Papa Daniel? How you doing?
I'm
Shalom,
doing well.
brother.
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. How are you? You're having a busy schedule?
Yeah, I just got off of work, man. Dog tired. Gotta shower
Wow,
up and
wow. Yeah,
relax with the family a little bit.
absolutely, absolutely. I can imagine how tough it is to do having a full time job. It's not at all easy. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean it takes some commitment to some days I don't wanna,
yeah.
and I just push myself through because I know, things gotta get done. So
Mm, mm,
I,
mm,
I lose a lot of sleep because I go on fairly late, but
mm.
sacrifice for the kingdom is all good.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is what we learn from the disciples, don't we? Sacrifice. So we can't actually be like them. Like we can't actually throw our nets and walk away from work because it's a different world. And back then it was easy. You walk away with Jesus, you still get fed through his miracles, but it's completely different world today. And it's hard. I mean, people do get fed in this line of business, do, but you have to be really popular, and a lot of people have to watch you to be able to make some money out of YouTube, I suppose. But yeah, it's just the way things are. It's hard
Yeah,
when you start off. Yeah,
the amount of hours we put in on it is just I can't feed my family off of it. So but
absolutely. Yeah,
it is what it is. If
yeah,
God see fit that could do this like full time, then
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's what'll happen. But if not, then I just keep waking up, going to work.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally get it, and I believe you're gonna grow because you've got a good heart, and I can see that. And I wish you grow, your channel grows, because you are this one gladiator out there who has no amount of fear, and that's important. And I've done a few videos on the Muslim lantern, how he dodges people who come onto his channel, and he makes them wait for and takes other people. And some of the Christians, don't get me wrong, do the same thing, because I've experienced it myself. And that's not what people should be deserving. People deserve much better treatment. And if people can put up this their fearless persona out there, and people will, if not today, will one day recognize that for sure. And yeah, I love that from you. You really take me on board whenever I come, and that's just the sign of a believer. So I respect that.
Yeah, I bring up anybody. If anybody want to come up, they can come up.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna, you know, promise how long I'm gonna talk to them, but at least
yeah,
I'll give them a chance to come
yeah,
up and release, give their
yeah.
side, see
I'm a
the
I'm a
differences
witness
and
to that.
things.
I'm a witness to that. So on your channel. So let's dig in here with this debate topic. So, what did you think of the debate, or would you like to know my opinions first? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't have too much time, but I just go ahead and give, and then
Yeah,
you could tell
sure. Go
me
ahead.
how you looked at it.
Sure.
I
Go
think
ahead.
Jake just didn't deal with the actual dilemma. I think he thought he found a way around it to make um because this dilemma is just not about the authority. It is a three-pronged dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue just from one of it. You can just
Mm-hmm.
argue just, preservation of the scriptures. You can argue just what revelation
Mm-hmm.
was the previous scriptures. Is it the Christian scriptures that we know today?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can argue the authority. I think he just stuck his head in the sand, said, I'm not gonna deal with the previous two. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
just rely on authority, and that don't solve the dilemma in the long run.
I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. And that's exactly what I said when I opened up this debate review. I said Jake walked into the debate thinking that God logic is going to bring in the same sort of argumentation that David Wood brought. And in that debate, I sort of gave a win to Jake because David budged. He yielded to a generalized confirmation of the New Testament, of the Old Testament, and the same would apply, therefore, to the Quran, providing a generalized confirmation of the previous other two scriptures. So basically, I thought David would yielded the debate to Jake. But so Jake, I think he went back home thinking vindicated, and he came back without making any new preparations into this debate. And GodLogic had the complete full week of that to understand Jake's position pretty well. And he made it very clear right in the opening. He said to him what Islamic dilemma isn't. But because Jake had preparation done, he just took off with his preparation. He did not make any impromptu changes, which he should have done, in my opinion, because Logic gave away his position right in the opening. He said what Islamic dilemma isn't. So he should have understood that God Logic isn't going to bite the bait that he has on his fishing rod. But unfortunately for Jake, he didn't see the problem as a big problem, and he just dashed into it with his preparation and read the whole thing that he had prepared to read in the opening statement. And in the and basically did not engage in the opening statement, which I can grant him because it was his opening statement. But still, his opening statement was already derailed by God Logic. So he should have made changes in the opening statement, which I believe he could have done it on the fly, like on the go. But he decided to read from his preparation, which was unwise. And going into the refutation, um, I thought God Logic did a promising work, gave a strong refutation, first rebuttal. And Jake sort of got stuck in the mud there during the refutation. And he kept insisting on his dhimmi dilemma, which obviously doesn't work because I said if Jake had ever watched my debate review of his position that he had with David Wood, at least he would have taken a thing or two and come up with new ideas into this particular debate. But I'm not famous for him to watch me, so I can imagine him having not changed his position at all, like at all. And his rebuttal wasn't strong, while GodLogic kept insisting that he has to engage in the debate, which I believe Jake did not track on it, because he had some validation in his previous debate that he had actually won the debate, which I did grant him the win, by the way. So based off that, he thought he could defend his position very well based off that dhimmi dilemma and a general confirmation of the scriptures, by not really going in depth on the preservation side of the story of the dilemma. Even authority, based off authority, I don't buy Jake's argument. Technically, I don't buy it, but I still granted him the win on with David Wood, because David Wood yielded his debate. Um, I don't know what David Wood was on. Maybe he was. I don't know. A night before, I don't know what David Wood did. Basically, he didn't do a good job on that particular day. I sort of thought he did not do a good job, because he's the one who coined Islamic dilemma. He should have not yielded. I mean, if he has understood that he has validation or justification for the Islamic dilemma, he should not have yielded his position to Jake Brancatella, but he did. But I think GodLogic came strong into the debate, well prepared, and I heard him speak to IP that he was sleepless just before the debate, the night before, waiting for the debate to be dropped. So I think he was full on preparation, having watched the debate, like how Jake performs. And based off that, I think cross exam, I was not impressed with GodLogic. Uh, Obviously, the cross exam of Jake wasn't impressive at all, but I was not impressed with Jake GodLogic's cross exam, because he drifted a little bit here and there in the Sunnah side of the story of how Jake approaches the Sunnah and the Hadiths, and also that he walked away yielding his time, thinking he won the position, but that winning the position was not emphasized. It could have been elucidated. His win could have been elucidated much better than him um, quickly concluding his win was not the wisest of the things. I thought to myself, he could have dug deeper into it a little bit more and established his position that Jake basically lost his argumentation. That much
Yeah, I
should have
was.
been.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I was there in person. I went to
Oh, you were
Dallas,
there in
and
person. Okay.
yeah, I went to Dallas, and he only conceded like 30 seconds. It was already pretty much
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
like his time was pretty much up
Oh, yeah.
anyway. And
Yeah. Okay.
but the David Wood debate, I don't think he lost per se as far as he didn't refute it, but I think David Wood looked at Jake's argument as not touching the actual dilemma. So he was perfectly willing to find that some parts of the authority of the Quran,
But
was
what about
deemed
the
on the
general
Christians.
confirmation? David would yielded the position on general confirmation. So that's what is high on Jake Brancatella's mind. Even Daniel Hakika Jew, based off the debate that he had with David Wood, even Daniel Hakika Jew sort of salvaged the debate, making a general confirmation uh, um, as a valid premise, right?
Well, I don't. Actually I have to go and rewatch that debate over
Mm,
again
mm,
because I
yeah.
was kind of doing something and trying to listen to that debate with between
Mm,
David and Jake. Um, but even
mm.
general confirmation, even when you say generally, you still have to generally means you take the whole of it, like and so you still have to get validate the main
Mm,
motifs,
mm,
premises, themes of the
mm,
previous scriptures. So the general confirmation argument, it really don't
I
do
agree.
much because
I
you
agree.
still have to generally confirm. Because if you know, we know both know what general means. We take into a consideration the whole of the thing. Like
Mm,
if I say, generally speaking, Arabs are from Saudi Arabia, right? So
mm.
I'm taking in the whole of the Arabs, even though we know some Arabs don't,
Don't
aren't
belong to
from
Saudi. Yep.
Saudi
Yep.
Arabia. You can have them from the UK. You can have them
Yep.
from other parts, but
Iraq, from
generally,
Iraq. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
generally, the whole of it. I'm speaking in as far as the whole of it, right? So
Mm,
if you're still
mm,
gonna go with a general confirmation, that's still the Islamic dilemma still stands because generally the themes and the motifs of the
mm,
previous scriptures are, Jesus was the Son of God. He died. He rose again. We can't have salvation without
mm,
him. That's the general theme of the whole previous
mm,
scripture. So I don't
mm,
think that was too strong of a point as far as for Jake, as even if David did say, well, generally you can have that stance. I still don't think he agreed with him, but generally I don't think that does much to the Islamic dilemma because you still have to generally confirm all of them, the themes and motifs of the previous scriptures, which still contradict the Quran.
Okay. So that's there. And what do you think about of our debate falling off James' table? Like, did you get in touch with him, asking him?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I mean, he didn't contact me. He didn't send me an email or to tell me that it was canceled or anything like that. So I'm gonna email him and just see exactly what's
Yeah.
going. Maybe something came up on his end that week
Yeah.
or that day or something. I don't know. I don't have no reasoning given. He
I
haven't
actually,
contacted.
what I did was I actually communicated to him two more debate requests. One of them was with William Albrecht, the butcher, and the other was with Eric from a different YouTube channel. So he James came back to me stating he can only do one, which is mm, with William. And I did tell him that he had already agreed to do the debate between me and you. But then he said he came back to me telling he can only do one with William. So I couldn't really push back on him and say, "Can you please do two debates at least?" I couldn't. I can still request him to do that, but I want you to also request. So he, because you already debated on his channel once, right?
Yeah, Nadir Ahmed, but
Yeah,
I don't have no cachet. I'm a nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have
yeah,
no. I'm not a big name guy in this
yeah.
business. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no pool, right? But maybe we're just not big enough names drawers or something. I don't know. And you got to do what's best for the channel. So
That's
um
possible. That's possible. That's how he's thinking. But at least he could have also informed you, because once he approved it, he had to also inform you that he was canceling that. But anyway, I request you to make an appeal, or if he's not ready, then I think capturing Christianity's channel would be a better platform to debate. What do you reckon? Can you communicate with capturing Christianity to host it?
no, I don't know. I don't know
You don't
Cameron.
know Cameron? Yeah,
He
Cameron.
usually he usually go for the big names too because he got a big channel. So
Mm.
um
Also,
I don't
else
know him.
if doesn't work out, if both of these places don't work out, then we can do it on SFT. What do you reckon?
What's that? What's SFD?
Standing for Truth Ministries channel, SFT.
Oh, okay. Donnie. I think his name is like
Donnie, yeah,
Donnie or
Donnie,
something.
yeah, Donnie,
Yeah,
or
I never
even
debated on his
TGT,
channel.
or even TGT, whatever you feel like doing, wherever you feel like doing.
Yeah, I've never debated on any one of those channels either. But yeah, I can see if I can get like emails from
Yeah, please
for these
do
guys
send
and
out an
see
email
exactly.
to James as well. James, Cameron. See how they go, both of them, James and Cameron, or else we can go to TGT, Marlon's channel, or Donnie's channel.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll see if I can fish around for some emails to see if I can get in touch with these guys. I actually met Marlon this past weekend whenever I was at this debate. So
Yeah,
I didn't get none of his contacts none because he was pretty busy. He was just in
yeah,
between a break
yeah,
between Logic's and Jake's debate. That's when I
yeah,
um actually talked to him. So it
yeah.
wasn't, you know,
I will say that.
he knew who I was, but
Yeah,
I didn't exchange like information, contact information, nothing like that. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure I probably can get in touch with him if I, because I know a
yeah,
couple of people that know him.
yeah. No, I can get in touch with him if you want. But if you can get in touch with James and see whether he wants to reconsider his decision, and Cameron, if you touch these two people, um, yeah, and if the response is no from their side, then we can have. Then I'll get in touch with Marlon or Donnie, one of them.
All right, cool. Yeah, that can do. Yeah, but final words because I do have to go in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
The I think Logic just crushed this debate.
I agree.
I think by Jake not like you said, adjusting to exactly what Logic was saying. I think he did a lot of straw manning. Logic said, no, this is not what it is. He still went on and he straw manned the whole debate. Um, and then if you're going to ignore the revelation and the preservation, then authority naturally comes because you have to prove the reason why the Quran is now the authority because the previous scriptures is not preserved or either they're not the revelation that Allah gave down. But if you don't deal with that and you just give the opponent the position that that is Allah's revelation and it is preserved, then naturally authority has to come. You know, that's just
I
natural process of it. So
my
in
my yeah, my words are I agree with you 100%. So there's no doubt.
yeah,
I, yeah,
Jake. I think Logic Cross was on point. I think it was, and the reason why he brought up the jizya payment because Jake made the argument that if another revelation comes, now that revelation is authoritative over the previous one. Well, Logic pointed out that Jesus is going to come and abolish the jizya, the same revelation that he believed that is authoritative over the Jews and Christians. So Logic
mm,
wasn't making the case that he was using Jake's argument against him. So if
yeah,
Jesus was is going to come back and
yeah.
abolish the jizya, and that's a new revelation that that is not
The-
really within the scope of the what Muhammad gives, then Jesus's revelation now trumps Muhammad, and because Jake was making the argument that it was the reason why the it was authoritative is because basically is corrupted or whatever, right? So if that's the case, if Jesus comes overrides Muhammad's revelation, do that mean the Quran is corrupt now? Of course
no,
not. He's not going to say it.
I think Jake had a way out of that situation. He did say that that's possible because it's already being communicated in the Sunnah. We already have information that Jesus is going to come and do such a thing. So it's not going to be new in that sense. That's what Jake's argument was in that in relation to that. Okay, but
Yeah, but we're
nonetheless,
talking about the time that is the when it's going to be actually implemented. Okay,
mm,
it was prophesied, but when is it going to be implemented? It's going to
mm,
be implemented after, right?
mm,
Because Muhammad's dead and gone, and then on the day of judgment or
mm,
previous before the day of judgment, Jesus is going to come and implement this new
mm,
revelation.
mm,
And then that's part of the sunnah. That's part
mm,
of the jurisprudence.
yeah,
So if it's legality that is authoritative, then
mm,
that new revelation or that revelation that's going to be implemented comes after Muhammad's,
mm,
then is Muhammad's revelation no good no more, or i.e. corrupt? That's kind of
mm,
what Jake was hinting at. So
mm,
by that, by his own logic, logic was using his logic against him.
mm. Yeah, I mean, overall, I have the same sort of takeaway from this debate that Jake got pulverized actually, for the fact that he kept ignoring, and he didn't realize that God logic was not really buying his argumentation, and he needed to maneuver and take Islamic dilemma's original premises and sort of talk about preservation a little bit, which he could have done if he had thought about it a little bit. But for unfortunately for him, it didn't really go down well for him. So
Yeah, me personally, the guys that you're debating, I don't think they necessarily have to buy your argumentation. You have
yeah,
to win over the crowd. The
yeah,
crowd is going to
yeah,
be able to decipher which one's arguments hold weight and which
yeah,
one is actually clearly clarifying
yeah,
exactly their position to where they
yeah.
can actually understand what
Mm,
arguments are being made. Now,
mm, mm,
given that I was in the building, I was there, and the
mm,
crowd was heavily against Jake.
mm,
They just didn't understand. Like it wasn't conveying over
mm,
to the message to the
mm.
crowd, because you know, because the crowd are by public opinion. Those who That's who really win debates, by public opinion. You don't have a, you know, a council or judges there to
Yeah,
actually judge it. So it's going to
yeah,
be the crowd that's going to judge who actually wins the
yeah,
debate. And
yeah.
I see now, I'm on X, and I see a lot of Muslims is like coming at Jake like, nah, you didn't perform well. Even
Yeah,
though, you know,
yeah,
they're gonna say he baked God logic, but they're saying, oh, you baked God logic, but you could have did this, and oh, you
um,
could have did
yeah,
that. Oh,
yeah,
so they're giving a caveat, you know, to so yeah, you baked them, but in their heart of hearts, they know that
yeah.
he didn't perform well because
I
they're
got
giving reasons what he could have done, you know.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
But
he didn't win this debate.
were there like Muslims in the arena there, like in the church there?
It was only like five of them, five or six Muslims, you know.
Okay, okay. Mm.
But I did see, but it was because atheists and other people was debating that time as well. So it was
Yeah,
atheists there. Matter of fact, I was sitting right in front of an atheist guy, and we was conversing, doing the debate, and he himself was like, this is brutal for the Muslim. This is
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
bad for Jake because
yeah,
he's just not he's not pivoting from that one point, right?
yeah, yeah,
If you like, he's trying, what he's doing, he's trying to force feed his argument onto
yeah,
people,
yeah,
onto the Muslims, onto, and he wants this to take off because he genuinely believes that this solves the Islamic dilemma when
yeah, yeah.
everyone sees that it doesn't. It really don't.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Uh,
Completely agree with you. Yeah, that's what happened actually. He thought, because I said this to you, because the win he had against, the sense of, I mean, according to, not according to you, but according to me, I gave him the win, and according to his own takeaway from the debate with David Wood, he might have thought to himself, okay, this works. So and that cost him
yeah,
his debate. Yeah,
I would say that David's cross against Jake could have been better. I think
yeah,
going into the Kalama law and whether it's, you
mm.
know, eternal or
Yeah.
not,
That was not
and
required. Yeah,
I think that was, I see where he was coming from, because the
mm.
previous scriptures supposedly is the word of Allah as well, you know. I
Hmm.
think where he kind of, you know, drove his point home is when he got Jake to admit that Allah purposely let the previous scriptures get corrupted, like,
Hmm.
and that was just a bad look. Like
Yeah,
for a Muslim
yeah,
to say, well, this is Allah's previous scriptures and he let them get corrupted on
mm.
purpose just so
Mm.
Muhammad
Mm.
could come, you know.
Mm.
So it put casts Allah in a bad light, and right,
Mm. Mm.
to where
Mm.
you're gonna let your own words get corrupted, even though you say in your Quran no one can change your words, you know, and
Mm.
distort your words.
Mm.
So I think that was a point that I think David was trying to bring home, and he did convey that one. But I think he could have maybe
Mm.
did, you know, a
Mm.
range of different type of questions. And he argues this
Mm.
dilemma so much that I think he didn't want to seem like the same old, same old, same old. So he took a different approach to it.
Yeah, okay, possible, but that cost him actually, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I mean these are interesting times. Word, what do you recommend me? How do I bump up my subscriptions? Like I have like 200 videos and 200 subscribers. It doesn't look impressive. It doesn't look good. So what do you recommend me doing?
Um, Truthfully, this YouTube sphere is hard, man. Like it's it's just it's hard. I think in you're in your beliefs, you're not the regular Sunni Muslim, right? If I think if you was a regular like
Like Jake,
Sunnis, Hadith,
like
believing
Jake,
Muslims,
set up
yeah.
for failure.
If you was a Salaf, if you was a Salaf of the Salaf, that's like 90% of Muslims, and there's almost a 2 billion of them. You can be able to carve out a large chunk of that just because they're going to support you just on the strength that you're a
Yeah,
Muslim.
I know.
Your niche is kind of limited to where you know what I'm saying, like not too
Yeah,
many Muslims believe exactly how you believe. But
yeah,
I'm not saying change your beliefs or nothing like that. You
yeah.
just you're gonna have to start. I would say just from your
Pretending like
position,
what?
if I
Pretending like
was
what is it?
no, I wouldn't even say that because I wouldn't tell nobody to compromise what they really believe in just for
Yeah,
subscriptions and support. Um, make reaction videos to these top guys because
yeah,
once people start searching these top guys, you're
yeah,
going to come up in the algorithm because your name is now attached to them. And
yeah,
I know
yeah,
you don't want to look like you're a Muslim going against other Muslims,
yeah,
but you have a perspective on Islam that different
yeah,
from them, and you never
yeah,
know how many people out there have that same perspective as you. So
yeah,
if you start putting out more refutations, like refuting Ali Dawah, refuting
yeah,
Jake the metaphysician,
yeah,
refuting these guys,
yeah,
um, because these guys are starting to lose a little sway with
yeah, yeah. They
because
are.
they're
Yeah,
starting to really lose these debates
absolutely, absolutely.
and
Yeah,
right, so Muslims are starting to look for another guy
gotcha,
that they can put in front. So
gotcha.
that's
Yeah,
you got to attach your name to one of these
mm,
guys.
mm,
Just refute them. Be
mm,
like, oh,
mm,
this is what the Sunnah actually says, and he's going against this, showing the contradictions between what they believe in. And I know
mm,
you're gonna get probably some pushback from some Muslims, right?
mm,
That's Salaf,
mm,
but
mm,
there's going to be other because I open up panels a lot and I talk to a different wider range of Muslims, and
mhm.
a lot of Muslims don't believe a lot. It's like it's not a conglomerate on what Muslims believe. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just have to show your way is more logical, your way is
absolutely.
probably more Islamic,
Mm,
and
mm.
refute these guys. They're not doing Islam no justice, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think you'll gain some subscribers slowly but
Mm,
surely. I think if you start doing that, give it
mm,
about a good year doing that, I think you can
mm,
reach
mm,
7, 8, 9, 10,000 probably
mm,
subscribers in that, just doing that alone.
Thank you so much. I think we should do together sometimes streams like this if you want to do, so we can take one Muslim. If a Muslim comes, he can talk to you. If a Christian comes, he can talk to me. Something like that. I mean, think about it. If you're willing to do that, so by that way, I might get some exposure based off of your fan base and your marketplace. So
I honestly on YouTube, I hardly get Muslim call-ins on
on
YouTube.
TikTok, you recommend TikTok, yeah?
Yeah, I think nah, don't go to the sellers. They're gonna find you, and they're just going to they're brutal on TikTok, man. Like
I do.
they're sharks on TikTok, man.
I
They're
get that.
deviants.
I
Like
absolutely get that. I've been on TikTok with them before, and they just check me out. I
yeah,
know.
they're gonna you. I mean, just you're grown, man. I think you could take it. I think you got thick skin enough to where you can. But if you keep pushing because it is some some Muslims on TikTok that probably align with more of your beliefs, and it's a huge platform. It's, you know,
Mm,
billion people on there.
mm,
Eventually you might get into the algorithm where more and more
mm,
Muslims that
mm.
believe like you, but you're gonna have to fight through all of the insults. You're gonna have to fight
I
through the
know.
chat fearing. You're gonna have to
Mm,
fight through all of that, and it's just how bad do you want it? Like how bad do you think you could put up with all of that to get
yeah,
to the niche audience of Muslims that you wanna
yeah,
surround yourself with? I
yeah,
think it'll probably be good in the long run,
yeah,
because nothing don't come without hardship. So it
yeah.
is it is it'll be an uphill battle. I'm not gonna lie to you. It'll be an uphill battle, but
Mm,
keep at it, man. You never know. Like you never
mm,
know. So
mm.
that will be my advice.
I absolutely take your advice on board because you've gone through that difficult uphill battle as well. It's not easy to sit and slog on TikTok and YouTube for sure, and keep dealing with people who actually eat up your head. And when you go to bed, you're pretty lost and you don't even get dreams. So your mental capacity is entirely, thoroughly exhausted. So I can imagine your struggles that you're making as well. It's not easy, and I fully take your advice on board. And let me try and do my best and see how it goes.
Oh, it's draining.
Yeah.
I would
Indeed.
let you know.
Mm.
It drains you mentally.
Absolutely, it
Um,
does. Mm.
and
Mm.
even though Trinitarians, we have a large group of Christians,
Mm.
but everybody comes against us. Like literally everybody
Mm.
hates us.
Mm.
The typical Muslims, they don't they
Mm.
hate us. We go against them. We go against Jehovah Witnesses. We go
Mm.
against the oneness. We go against Mormons.
Mm.
We go
Mm.
against Hebrew Israelites. We go
Mm.
against
Mm.
everybody comes for us because everybody don't really understand the nature of our doctrine, and so
Mm.
they straw man all our beliefs, and they believe that we worship three gods. So everybody in a monotheistic religion, if
Mm.
you look like you worship more than one god, just because they don't fully understand our theology,
Mm.
everyone comes for you. So even
Mm.
if Islam was to disappear today,
Mm.
us Trinitarians will still have to fight off
Okay.
six
Mm.
different groups. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? From the
Yeah.
Mormons to the Hebrew Israelites to the Jehovah Witnesses
Mm. Mm.
to the
Mm.
oneness Pentecostals,
Mm.
and it like there's no if Trinitarians, there's no short opposition for us, man. Like
Mm.
literally,
Mm.
there's no opposition that
Mm.
there's no way we would ever not
Mm.
have people coming at us because
Mm.
of our doctrine and our beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally understand that. Thank you for showing up here, Word and I appreciate you coming here, and hopefully we'll do this more. I mean, I welcome doing debate reviews at least. Whenever there's a debate, we can do the debate reviews together if you like the idea.
Yeah, that's fine. There's
Yeah.
no problem with that. No
Mm.
problem.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, man, I appreciate you for keep at it, man. If I know we don't agree on everything, but if
Yeah.
this is what you want to do,
Yeah.
it's gonna be an uphill battle, and don't let it discourage you from doing what you really want. If this is what you want to do, like just keep doing it, man. And
Absolutely.
you never know what God has in store for you. You never know
Absolutely. Yeah.
who you might meet. You never know. You
Yeah.
just never know. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
just give it its due diligence, and if
Hmm.
you see you give yourself a timetable, if you
Mm.
see that you're not growing by that timetable, but then
Mm.
halas, it wasn't meant to be, and, and move on and do something else, or so
Yeah.
that'll be what I.
I'm not gonna quit. This is my life. I was just not on the internet all these years. That's all. I was in the backstage doing my work. This is my field. I I've written books. I've translated the scripture. I was there in the field, but I was not on YouTube. That's all. I'm not on social platforms. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on all of the fancy. Although I do have a presence now on TikTok. I'm not big on Twitter. Like my Twitter is pretty close to zero. I don't even use it. So I'm not going to give up on YouTube. So thank you for your advice, Word&I, and I appreciate your friendship.
For sure, no problem, man. I gotta
Yeah.
go, man. God bless you.
God bless you.
You be safe, man. You just keep doing what you're gonna do, man.
Yeah,
It'll all work out in the end for you.
inshallah. Thank you. See you.
All right, bro. God bless.
God bless. Yeah. Yeah, that's Word&I, you all. And I got to go now. And if you haven't like. If you haven't shared the stream, share it. And if you haven't subbed, sub. And engage with me next time when I'm here, and engage with my posts. Go to the posts and cast a ballot, whether you're a Muslim subscriber, whether you're a Christian subscriber, or someone else. So I will see you in the next video. Up until then, God bless you.